sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
Are you an athlete or professional struggling with life or career transition? Life isn't always easy, but hope is always present. Best Hope Counseling will help you move forward. For nearly a decade, licensed marriage and family therapist Larry Baumgartner has helped clients empower change and discover solutions using a solution-focused therapy approach. Conversations will focus on what you desire to change, not just the problems that brought you into counseling. From anger to depression or other emotions, Best Hope Counseling is there for you. Contact Larry personally on his direct line at 727-946-1346. Again, 727-946-1346 for a telehealth appointment in Florida and Minnesota, or in person an appointment in Minnesota. Take time out and begin your game plan to reconnect, rebuild, and restore happiness in your life. BestHopeCounseling.com. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition, your Monday night edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. How do we start off this show as we always do here on a Monday, Wednesday night, only 48 days away from the start of the National Football League season. Of course, for you Tampa Bay Buccaneers, bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have our guest, Mr. Jason Powers. Powers on Sports Podcast. Of course, Buck Power, a part of that podcasting network with the no quarter given. We'll have him on in just a couple minutes. And then at 9:30, we will have Tyler Jones of Chat Sports giving us a little Bucs perspective, Seattle Seahawks, and around the National Football League. And as always, taking your phone calls as we always do here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, because it is about the Tampa Bay sports fan. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Got some breaking news that just came in about an hour ago. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers have re-signed William Golston, according to Greg Auman of Fox Sports. So, Bucs fans, what do you think about that? I like it. I like it a lot. It helps that defensive line out. Golston is very underrated. He does the dirty work, and he's gotten better as a pass rushing specialist. My question is this an indication that maybe second round pick last year, Logan Hall, isn't ready to assume the role? What do you guys think? Definitely want to hear from you Bucs fans out there. And of course, the Tampa Bay Rays. Losers are 5 in a row. We'll definitely talk about that with Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. I got to tell you, I went out all weekend. I went out with the power man right there. And, of course, Mr. TJ Reeves, the great TJ Reeves. I'm as excited as anybody out there as a Rays fan. And you try to get excited about this team, but it certainly seems like one step forward and 2 steps back. And right now, Baltimore clearly is the best team. Of course, Jason Powers reminded me that it is only late July. So we got a season to go. But what do you think about your Tampa Bay Rays and their falters, not able to score runs, not able to get enough pitching? Colin Poche was the culprit yesterday and blowing it.
This guy sucks.
Pete Fairbanks was the other culprit the other day. So we talked about the bullpen. We said that it was going to be a question mark. You know how I feel about this. This team needs to make a trade. Will they make a trade at the deadline? We'll talk about the Rays tonight. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. And the other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get the man on. Here's his walk-up music. Here we go. I just want to play it all night long because college football is coming back. Florida State is highly ranked. Former FSU kicker, of course, Powers on Sports Podcast, Mr. Jason Powers, my tag team partner of the world. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. And before we came in here, my friend, we had some breaking news. William Golston re-signs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Your thoughts?
Well, before we get to Golston, I gotta say tonight you've got to be in hog heaven. You probably have some dilemma tonight. You got Monday Night Raw going on at Amalie Arena tonight.
I'm watching it right now, and I feel like we should have taken off as a collective group to go watch that. But we had you as a guest. We had Tyler Jones, and it's tough to get Mr. Jones from Chat Sports. They do a great job over there. Love what they do.
You gotta be
But
in hog heaven, man. You gotta be in heaven.
I am, man. I mean, no baseball games that I have to, update. Of course, trying to watch baseball this weekend was very tough because Baltimore takes 3 out of 4. And the 3-run deal, 9 for 35 this year when the Rays score 3 runs or less. But first, let's talk about Golston. How surprised are you by that signing?
Not at all. Not at all. This is a guy, remember, he's played his entire career here. I think the Bucs probably had a wink agreement with Golston that they were going to re-sign him at some point right before training camp or during training camp. Remember, Golston has a big community service endeavors here in the community. He's very involved charity-wise. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to retire a Buccaneer. I think he's going to be – you're going to see him maybe play this year, maybe one more year, depending on how it goes. He's going to be perfect for that defensive line room, experience, depth, and versatility. He can help rotate a defensive tackle with Cansey and Vea. He can also play some defensive end, which he's done here. He's an excellent run stopper, first and second down kind of guy. And again, he can continue to provide guidance, kind of an on-the-field coach for guys like Logan Hall and Kalijah Cansey. Perfect.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect move. And somebody said it's an underrated.
Cheap. And he's not making a bunch of money, Right,
exactly. And he's improved over time with his pass rushing skills. Not only that, he's great against the run. He does the dirty work. He kind of reminds me of like Dennis Rodman, Horace Grant in basketball. Very underappreciated, but a main cog, a main factor, a facet for this unit going forward. With that being said, do you think this is kind of an indication that possibly Logan Hall may not necessarily be ready to take those, first team snaps, or am I assuming just too much at this point?
I think you're assuming too much because remember that to me, the biggest issue going into training camp with the defensive line is where is Shaq Barrett at?
Good question.
I got a feeling he's probably still not in a position from what I heard, a couple of weeks back that he wasn't in a position to be able to not be full go yet. So again, I think it's just a good insurance move. You're going to play 6-7 guys on the defensive line throughout the course of a game. He can play some special teams for you on the field goal unit, that kind of stuff. I don't think it's an indication of anything. I think it's just a veteran depth move, and I don't think he's going to take away time from Logan Hall. If Logan Hall shows that he's ready, he can do the job. I think it's just a veteran move. Again, Vita Vea's had issues staying healthy the last couple of years. You got Cansey coming in to play interior. I think ideally they'd want Logan Hall to play outside and not interior, where Golston can play defensive tackle very comfortably along with Vea and Kalijah Cansey.
Yeah, you got 48 days away from football season. And, of course, rookies reporting today, and the veterans are reporting this week.
Tomorrow.
So we'll have training. Tomorrow. They're reporting tomorrow, and there's press conference at 9 o'clock with Todd Bowles and the rest of them. Tell you what, let's go out to the comments here. Roger Shue says, first, like always, keep this short. Raw is on. We're both watching it, but I got to produce the show, so you give me the updates. Turnbuckle Talk is on Wednesday night at 10:20, by the way, if you want to tune into that. 100 thumbs up tonight. Pete gives out a Sports Web t-shirt. Absolutely like it. Good evening. What's going on, Ben?
Oh, yeah.
Roger Shue says, where's the Greek? He's not here tonight. He's playing poker. We'll see him on Wednesday night. You got the power man right there, Mr.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Jason
I got to give you compliments Saturday. We're eating dinner Saturday night, and you're over there pounding on the table every time the guy strikes out at the restaurant, pounding on the table, making all kind of noise and howling at the restaurant, man. You got the whole restaurant perking up and saying, what the hell's going on over there at that table, man? You're over there pounding on the table every strikeout.
I'm trying to create some excitement and some enthusiasm for this team because offensively, it's been tough to watch. I mean, Eflin, besides that, I feel like the Rays have had every opportunity to win all those games in the series. Of course, Eflin was dominating, but the three they had the chance to win, the bullpen blows it. This is how I am. I'm excited about it. Even TJ was telling you. But like you said, you kept it in perspective for me. It is just July, but right now, the start that they got out to and just the way they're playing right now, do you have major concerns with this team? We'll get back to the comments in a moment.
Here's what I would say about the Rays. You knew at some point the Rays were going to, just like at the beginning of the year when they won, 13, 14 in a row?
Yeah.
You knew they were going to go on a streak where they lost 5 out of 15, 5 and 10 kind of run. And they're in their run right. They're in their bad rut right now. Here's what I will say. This is the most important 7 days for the Rays front office in the last 10 years.
Hmm.
You have got to come out of this trade deadline with either a big pitcher, a closer, and or a bat to me. It's just to jumpstart the energy in the locker room. You
Sure.
need a close. You need some bullpen help for sure, no doubt about it. We know, and that doesn't mean a middle relief guy. We need a closer, and there are some guys out there that could be had that got some definite closing experience and successful experience. And if you can get a big bat, and I've told you before, if Shohei Ohtani is made available, and we don't know if he will be, the Rays need to make an offer they can't say no to go get Shohei. He can fill 2 spots for you. It would be a huge impact for the community, for the stadium deal, for the momentum of the franchise staying in Tampa. If he's not made available, there's some other guys out there, but this is the most important 7 days in the last 10 to 15 years for the Rays front office.
I mean, it's such a risky proposition at the end of the day because you feel like ownership is going to have to trade him, right? Because if you don't, then there's a threat you lose him and you get nothing for him. And for me, the Rays have, one of the top farms out there. I was amazed of how many fans said, you don't want to give it the future. The future is now. The future is now. And if you get Shohei Ohtani, for me, you win the World Series because he fills both needs. As crazy as that sounds, Jason Powers, he's not only a great starting line pitcher, but also he could be a hitter you add into this lineup that you may give it some juice because
and guess what he would be tremendous at in September and October? He can be your closer. You don't need a 4th starter. You've got 3 good starters. He can be your lights out closer.
Yes.
For 1 inning.
I see no problem with it at all. Of course, are you going to have to give up a
Yes, give him up.
Give him up.
Give him up.
You never done it. You never done it before, so you don't know. We got Jason Powers on Sports Podcast, give you some statistics right now. Ever since Wander Franco was benched for those 2 games, and this is from our friend Jay Retcher of 95.3, 8 for 16, hitting 207, 19 and 92, 19 for 92 with 1 home run. And then Randy Arozarena, say whatever you want to. Was it the home run derby contest? 191, 13 for 68, 2 homers in July, 4 and 14 for this Rays team right now, just scuffling all over the place. And it's not just, Wander. It's not just Randy. It's also Josh Lowe, 163, 7 for 43. I mean, it's the big guys, these guys in these critical situations. And I don't know how many times we said it when Brandon Lau is up to bat in a crucial situation, or another guy is in a crucial situation where you have to get a runner in on an RBI. You're rolling into a double play. You just can't do that. And I don't care how good Baltimore is. You can't do that. You have to find a way to get the runner home.
They're just struggling, guys. I mean, I know we don't want to hear this, and it's a bad time to go through this rut, but damn near every team in baseball goes through a 2-week, 3-week stretch where they just don't play well. They don't hit, they don't pitch enough, they don't get the clutch hit. When they are hitting the ball well, they lose 9-8. When they're pitching well, they lose 2-1. It's just one. It's called the ebbs and flow of Major League Baseball season. Everybody who follows the sport will tell you that. We just have to understand this is the Rays rut. Hopefully they get out of it here in the next couple of days. Again, the schedule doesn't get much easier for a little bit, but every team goes through one of these ruts. Just like we won the first 13 or 14 games to start the year. Who would have thought that was going to happen? So it's a balancing act. We're still right there. You're 3 games behind Baltimore, 4 games behind. You got to make a move here at the trade deadline. Again, this is what these GMs get paid for this week, and this is the week to do it. And if you're the Rays and you're Stu Sternberg, you want a stadium deal, you make a big move and you go for it, and you give yourself every opportunity to get to the World Series.
All right, we're on with my tag team partner in the world, Mr. Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. And, of course, if you don't know, buckpower.com, no quarter given. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about here on the evolution of sports.
Let me give you some other names. Can I give you a couple other names I think the Rays ought to target if Ohtani's not in the mix?
Nope, I already got a name, and we've said this name already the last month here, Marcus Stroman. Is that who you're thinking?
I'm not.
Okay.
I don't think the Rays need a number 4 starter, and that's what he is.
Okay.
I mean, I think they need a back end of the bullpen guy. 2 names to be aware of. Josh Hader, San Diego Padres, last year of his contract, most likely not going to re-sign in San Diego. He's a hard-throwing lefty, a lot of heat, a lot of flamboyance, flair for the dramatics, has
Sure.
postseason experience. David Bednar, the closer for the Pittsburgh Pirates, not a big name, but has done really, really well as a closer the last 2 years. I think if you can move Fairbanks back to the 8th inning, that would help. I think you need a big-time closer, maybe even a lesser closer, but he's got closing experience. David Robertson for the New York Mets. Probably get him fairly cheap. He's closed for much of his career. He could be an 8th inning guy or a 9th inning guy, but he's a reliable arm. Those are 3 closing names I would really be looking at if I'm the Rays. If, again, even in addition to Shohei Ohtani, if you can get Ohtani, great, but you need to make a couple of moves. This is not just a one-trade situation for the Rays. I think the Rays are going to make multiple trades, or they need to this week.
Well, I'm kind of a proponent for Tyler Glasnow. I think he's definitely a big move in your rotation if he can give you those 7 innings.
And he is. He pitched
2 runs, but the problem with him is, can he stay healthy? So I'll throw out a name for you, and Rays fans will love this, and they'll be like, "Well, wouldn't that be something they could get back to the World Series with this guy, Blake Snell?
Yep.
How much does it cost to get him back?" We know that he's a little bit up and down, but when he pitched against the Rays, he had motivation. Maybe this motivates him more to pitch better. Like you said, he's a 4 starter. Maybe you could use him in the bullpen. What about Blake Snell, in your opinion?
Here's the one thing I would ask about Blake Snell, and I don't know, we've never heard the inside story on this. What is Blake Snell's true feelings about getting pulled in the World Series a couple years ago by Kevin Cash when he did? Right. We don't know what the sting of that was ultimately. I told you, me and you talked about this after that game. I told you he'd never pitch another game for the Rays after that game because of the letdown the faith that was lost in him by Kevin Cash because of the analytics and all that crap. So I talked about it. I don't know if Blake Snell's what his feelings are about the organization, if they would consider bringing him back after what happened a couple years ago. That's a great name. And again, I think if he's a 4 starter, I think you need more than a 4th starter. I think you need bullpen help is where I think if pitching wise, you need bullpen help. And I'm going to give you another name, Peter Blake. If Shohei Ohtani's not available, a team that's not doing well, that's underachieved dramatically this year. Yeah. And he has another year on his contract that the Rays could probably absorb, or at worst trade him in the offseason and get some return back in exchange. Any idea who I'm talking about?
I don't.
Juan Soto.
Oh, wow. That would be a big-time name out there. That would be a huge name, Jason Powers. Throwing it out there, yes.
Because he's not most likely not re-signing with San Diego.
No.
Because his agent is Scott Boras. He's going to free agency. Again, are the Rays going to sign him long-term? No, but he has another year on his deal, so the Rays could flip him in the offseason or flip him this time next year at the trade deadline once they obviously realize they're not, we know he's not going to re-sign in Tampa most likely. But again, he's another big bat, and that would be a thunder bat in the order, and he's a Latin player, which is the Rays have plenty of Latin guys. I think he would fit in well with the Yandis and the Francos of the world, the series of the world, and you could still have him for another year. And I think the Rays could absorb his contract in theory for one more year.
It's a good point. All right, let's go out to Mike here. I just seen the all-pewter uniform. That's going to be epic. Of course, they're going to have that this year. They've had that since, 2020? And then, of course, they got the creamsicle. I mean, what do you think about the pewter uniform? You like the pewter uniform?
Was that the uniform they wore in Denver that one time? Was that the one?
Yes,
I liked it. No, I was sharp. I did like it.
I wear that more. I like the red and pewter, but I also like the pewter on pewter. I do.
I do too. I agree.
Christopher Cole says, hey, what's up, everyone? What's going on, buddy?
Yeah.
Ben Cornett says, plenty of time left for the Rays to get it going. They can't keep falling behind early in games. Let me read the rest of these comments, and we'll go back to that point because CBS Sportsline had a great article on what direction this Rays team can go, either up or, of course, they can go down. A lot of people right now thinking that they could be in 3rd place here by the end of the week, but I think a lot of people are just panicking. Bad news, we're in 2nd place. Good news, we're 20 games above 500. There you go. Dave says, Golston always been a solid player. Great that he's back for another year. Dave, again, Hall and JTS are starting to look like mediocre players. Hall could still improve, but JTS needs to prove it this year. Agree with Dave on this?
No doubt. This is a huge year for JT Tryon Shoyinka. Huge. They are expecting him to be a 8 to 10 sack a year guy.
Yep.
This is, especially with the uncertainty around Shaq Barrett, he's the one quick guy we have on the edge. I know they drafted a couple guys that I think have some potential to be an edge rusher, the linebacker guys, but JTS, first-round pick, it's time to go here. We're in year 3. It's time to go if you're JTS. And again, he showed some flashes last year where he could get close to the quarterback, but his struggle was to finish the play and get the quarterback to the ground. He's got to do better this year. And I think, again, maybe it's a year where he's maturing into his body. He understands what it is to be a professional more. 3rd year in Todd Bowles' system. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I think Hall, he has to get stronger at the point of attack, right? I mean, doesn't necessarily have the NFL body. Yep. That is somewhat of a transition process. I don't know anything about it, but I know the defensive tackles and defensive ends struggle when they come into the league because it's a different league. You're not playing with college athletes. You're not playing with boys. You're playing with men, and you got to be built like them. You got to be built bigger. So good stuff there, Dave. Thanks a lot for the comment. As always, Mike says, when Lloyd Christmas asked if you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world, FSU war chant came to mind. Come on, man.
This guy sucks.
That's great. I like that. All right. We got Tyler Jones coming up from Chat Sports here at 9:30, so we'll get out to him in just a moment. Roger Shue says, hi, Chris. What's going on? So
what'd you think, Peter Blake? What'd you think of Tristan Wirfs being 98th on the top 100 list?
What are they looking at? NFL, I mean, who's doing this? Are the peers doing this? Are coaches doing this? Are fans?
I think it's a combination of guys. Yeah, I think it's a combination of. I think this is a players-only list. If I recall this NFL list, I think this is a players-only list. I believe
that's terrible.
Here's what I would say. Remember, this was a last year only award. This is not a 3-year award, and we have to. I mean, Wirfs was pretty good last year, but he was not as dominant as maybe he was in year 1 and year 2. Though I think 98 is still too low. I think he ought to probably be in the 60s. Probably would be my guess, based on last year's performance. Would be probably where you'd put him, but it's going to be very interesting to see how he transitions to left tackle because he's going to have a huge payday in front of him at the end of this year or even before this year starts.
And he's the reason why I think this offensive line is going to be improved. Again, addition by subtraction with Donovan Smith not on that left side. You got Tristan Wirfs. I think the transition will be just fine there. Mike says Tristan Wirfs should be at 15. I completely agree with that.
I don't know about 15.
He's not one of the best tackles in the game. I don't know who. I mean, who's the best tackle in your opinion? I mean, does it come down to the tackle from San Francisco? I
would say Trent Williams is. This, I mean, longevity and pedigree. I think Trent Williams, most people would agree, is probably the best tackle.
Who's number 2?
Oh, I'd have to see the list.
See, that's where Tristan Wirfs is because
he's never played left tackle. He's never played left tackle, so you can't compare him at left tackle.
Right.
He might be the best. He might be the top 1 or 2 right tackles in the league, but you can't just automatically say he's going to be the top left tackle until he does it at left tackle.
Okay.
I think he'll be really good at it, but that doesn't guarantee he's going to be elite. I think Tristan, his age, his intelligence, his strength, he's going to be a top 5 tackle here. Give him at least half a season, if not a year, to be that. He'll be in that category, and the Bucs will pay him as such because he will get a huge deal here at some point, either this year or at the end of the year, because the Bucs are not going to let him walk out the door based on his talents. He's on a Hall of Fame trajectory, though, I would say, for sure.
All right, let's go out to Chris Godwin, who was on the Rich Eisen show today. He says, I'd be surprised if Brady came out of retirement again. Put me down for I'd be very shocked. We talked a couple times since he's been retired, but not like within the last couple months. He's been doing this for so long, and how he's finally retired. I think it's cool to see him getting to spend as much time as he has with his family, but also see him get out there and open himself up. We continue to talk about this, and I feel like we're going to continue to talk about it until either that deal with the Raiders is done or basically Brady has no desire to play football anymore. And it seems like it continues to come up with Antoine Winfield Jr. and Richard Sherman on that podcast. Now, Chris Godwin is saying Brady is done. Do you agree with them? Brady is done at this point, or is there some type of hope that you think of what Winfield Jr. said, that the Bucs could be talking, trying to get him to come out of retirement.
I don't think Brady's done. Have you seen TMZ here lately? He's got some pretty good. He's got some pretty good talent that he's having apparently some sleepovers with here over the weekend.
Well, first I thought it was Kim Kardashian, and
no.
So just
Irina Shayk.
Okay.
The former Mrs. Jeter girlfriend and other people. So maybe he's dialing into some other celebrities. Second, he might be sloppy seconds on some other people's.
I just want to know, did she get the fruit basket treatment? You know all about that, right? You get the fruit basket.
I did tell you a little story about something in Tampa today. I gave you a little heads up on that to ruin your nightlife. You can't be making any stops there on Dale Mabry for a little while.
This guy sucks.
You better quit. You know that's not true at all. Spreading bad rumors there. Jason Powers on Sports podcast.
No, I think Tom. But that is true news about Tom. If you that was pretty much out there today about Tom with his sleepover over the week. I'm serious. That's
how's that news, by the way? Is that newsworthy at this point? I mean, I guess everything is newsworthy now.
Especially since who it is. It's not like it's Susie from the the waitress at Denny's.
Well, and it's not Tiger Woods, but did he catch wind of the Kardashian curse and say basically, listen, I don't want to be the next Reggie Bush or another athlete that my career gets killed. Is that what it came down to?
That wouldn't be that wouldn't be the worst score in the world if Kim Kardashian. But I get your point. Yeah, I get. Too much drama there for Tom. All right,
too much. Yes.
Yeah, a little too much. As far as Tom goes, again, I think these rumors are going to be I would say persistent, but they're going to always be out there until the regular season starts. Because one thing we've not seen from Tom is we've not seen Tom miss regular season games yet. Yeah. What is Tom's really mental state of mind going to be once the regular season starts? Would this be a kind of a guy where, again, a couple places to be aware of? If a team like Miami lost Tua early in the year, would a guy like Tom Brady potentially say, hey, I can be ready in 3 weeks. Give me 3 weeks to kind of get ready to lead that Miami offense. Maybe a team like Baltimore, if something happened to Lamar Jackson, somebody like that. That's going to be the interesting part of this. And even the Bucs. I think it's highly unlikely for the Bucs. But again, is it out of the realm of possibility? No, because if the Bucs were somehow to get off to a good start, but the quarterback play wasn't any good, and they were somehow winning games, maybe you make a call in right around week 3 or week 4, leading into the bye week, to say, hey, Tom, what do you think?
Well, and absolutely, and because he's supposedly a minority owner of the Raiders, don't rule it. But of course, I believe if you would get out of that deal and come back, wouldn't there have to be some type of owner's vote? Because the same situation was about to go down with the Miami Dolphins a couple years ago. Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. My tag team partner of the world, of course, TJ Reeves, our friend, the tag team champions of the world.
Way, you were killing some chicken nachos, the outrageously priced nachos the other day. I won't name the establishment.
Oh, it was great. It was absolutely fantastic.
They were good, but they weren't good.
No, definitely not.
Thank you, Uncle TJ, for picking up the tab. We appreciate it. We really do. Thanks for all you do. But we're not going there next time we go out. We're going somewhere else for some better nachos at a much more affordable cost this time, because we know Peter Blake likes to eat. He likes to eat, and keep eating.
Look at you turning into Stu Sternberg right before our eyes at this point.
And we were talking about some wrestling stories too the other night. Some good wrestling stuff. Abdullah the Butcher, Tommy Wildfire Rich, some of the old fellas back in the 80s. Some good stuff. We were having some awesome stories talking about some great wrestling time. But okay, real quick. Powers on Sports Podcast episode out every week. We'll have some great stuff as we lead into August, some NFL divisional previews. We will have said Tyler Jones as part of the podcast in August, previewing some divisions for us. Powers on Sports Podcast, No Quarter Given podcast. We're going to be coming out with our Florida Football Insiders College podcast. We're going to be talking about all things state of Florida college football, not Florida Gators, all the state of Florida. And tomorrow night, Tuesday night, I'm going to be on Spectrum Sports, Spectrum News, Bay News 9 in the Bay Area and in Orlando as part of their face-off segment, their Spectrum Sports 360 show. So I'll be on tomorrow night, Tuesday, and Friday night in their face-off section. So check it out.
Go kill it. My tag team partner of the world, Mr. Jason Powers. Powers on Sports Podcast. With that being said, we got to do it this way to get you out of here. There you go. All right, man. Appreciate the time as always here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right, my friend.
My next appearance, I'll show you the championship ring. I'll show you the couple rings.
I love it. I want to see it. All right, Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web. All right.
All right, y'all have a good night, man. Kill it.
Yeah, absolutely. Always killing it here on the Sports Web. Let's get my next guest on. I'm a big-time fan. He's got the best job in the world besides the work for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just saying there, TJ Reeves. Let's go out to Mr. Tyler Jones of Chat Sports. Welcome to the Evolution. I got to say, you do great work there. To me, you got one of the best jobs in the business. You talk about football all day long. Go ahead and introduce yourself here to the webheads. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend.
Peter, appreciate the time. Thanks for having me, man. I work for Chat Sports, covering the NFL each and every day. Primarily do coverage of the Seahawks, Ravens, and Patriots, but also do just coverage around the rest of the NFL as a whole, a little bit of college football stuff too. And just got back from Phoenix, where I was on the call for the Native American Basketball Invitational Championships for the high school level this past weekend out there, and had a lot of fun doing that. But certainly been a crazy news day as we gear up for training camps here.
Yeah, absolutely. You got 48 days until football season starts here in the Tampa Bay area, and we predominantly talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What's your overall analysis of what happened last year? And I'll just throw this out there. I kind of feel like the team that you cover, the 2022 Seahawks, are a lot like the 2023 Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that everybody is ruling this team out because they don't have Tom Brady. They did the same thing to the Seahawks last year when they didn't have Russell Wilson. How do you see it?
Well, I look at it this way. I personally, the reason why I have my doubts about the Bucs actually is not much to do with Tom Brady. The Tom Brady we last saw on the football field last year was not good. Tom did not play well at all last season. So I don't think they're going to miss that Tom Brady that we saw in 2022. Personally, I've always been a big Baker Mayfield fan. Dating back to his days at Oklahoma and what he's done in his career, I feel like that he's been put in awful situations time and time again. Baker Mayfield, I think, can play better than what Tom Brady did last year. No question about it. So to me, that's not the issue when I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To me, I have major concerns about that offensive line. And then their run game as well. To me, that's the bigger problem when I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know, the Seahawks last year going into the season, yes, losing Russell Wilson was a big deal, but it wasn't just that. It was not having Bobby Wagner and how young they had gotten as a team as a whole. The Bucs are kind of confusing because this is a team that, you know, sure, they kept around Mike Evans. They kept Chris Godwin. But they're in that weird state of, are they in rebuild mode or are they, you know, trying to put Band-Aids on the situation? And right now it feels like they're trying to get away with some Band-Aids instead of going with the full-on rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people assumed during the offseason that they were going to basically rebuild, that they could be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes or, you know, going after one of these top quarterbacks. And I just don't see it that way because, yeah, you lose Tom Brady and your offensive line has been, I feel like, better now because Donovan Smith was the human turnstile of this team last year. You add Tristan Wirfs. I get it, he's never played the left side, but you don't rule this kid out because in his rookie year, he played the right side and basically didn't give up anything. So if anybody can do it, it's Wirfs on that left. And I think the offensive line will be better off because they're actually healthy this year. They lost Ryan Jensen. For me, the reason why I see them also as the Seahawks is because the Seahawks and their emphasis has always been on their run game. You have beast mode, takes the pressure off of Russell Wilson. The same thing could be said about Geno Smith with Ken Walker. I think Rashard White, this improved offensive line, and the emphasis on that will basically curtail the decision-making that Baker Mayfield has to make. You're not going to ask him to throw the ball 40 to 50 times a game. You don't want that, right, Tyler?
See, and again, I'm as big of a Baker fan as there is out there. And I think that if everything's going right, if you believe in your offensive line, if you believe in your receivers, I can trust Baker to throw it all day long. I've seen that version of Baker Mayfield before. When everything goes right, Baker can put it all together. Usually when he struggles is when there's some glaring weaknesses, when there's problems involved here. So I like Baker, and I think that the Bucs could have an explosive offense potentially, but everything else has got to be in place. The run game's got to be there, the offensive line. If they give him what he needs, then look out. I think Baker could surprise some people. That Bucs offense could be explosive.
And I think the other thing you can compare to Seattle is Dave Canales. He's the quarterback coach last year, Geno Smith, and I definitely think he's responsible for him turning into a Pro Bowl quarterback. I mean, I think that was definitely a shock. I mean, what did you think about him basically going from, a journeyman quarterback to now he's a Pro Bowler and he earned a second contract with the Seahawks?
Well, I look at it. Dave Canales did an incredible job. He was the quarterback's coach there in Seattle, now the OC there with Tampa Bay. And Canales' track record developing quarterbacks is pretty remarkable. He was there for the entire Pete Carroll tenure as quarterback's coach, and this is his first time leaving the organization. So obviously he's credited with the development of Russell Wilson as well. But here's a guy that I think what he was able to do with Geno Smith was that we saw a Geno Smith just put in the work throughout the offseason, and not just what we saw on the football field, but off the field as well. And I think Dave Canales had a big part of that, of setting up Geno Smith to succeed. And I think you're going to see that again with Baker Mayfield, that Baker kind of like Geno in a sense has been a journeyman quarterback, played for a couple different teams and all this. I think you're going to see Canales get the most out of Baker Mayfield potentially this year and have that kind of breakout or bounce back campaign of sorts, if you want to call it that.
And that's what I see too. We're on with Tyler Jones of Chad Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here on the Sports Web Live on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. And that's why I believe Baker is going to win out this quarterback competition. What do you see with Kyle Trask? Do you see anything that makes you believe that he can overtake Baker? Does Baker basically have to stink it up in camp in order to lose this job, in your opinion?
I think he's going to have to take an injury or something of that effect. I don't think there's any reason to believe in Kyle Trask. There's nothing that I've seen that says that he needs to be that guy for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I understand that they used it. About a second-round pick in Kyle Trask, but the comparisons he kept getting in college when he was at Florida was just ludicrous. When people were trying to say that he was similar to Joe Burrow, and he's just not that guy. I mean, he found himself time and time again in big moments making crucial mistakes. And, to me, I'm just not high on Kyle Trask as an NFL quarterback, quite frankly. This is somebody in Kyle Trask that I would be very surprised if he ends up as the starter at some point. Now, if Baker struggles, I'll say this much. The leash isn't going to be very long for Baker. Like, if he's not playing well, I don't see them waiting around to make that change, because not only are you talking about a team that, is competing for the arguably worst division in football, maybe only to the AFC South.
Right.
And so you could win this division maybe as a 7 or 8 win team. Not only do you have that situation going on here, but you have a head coach in Todd Bowles who's going to be coaching for his job. Todd Bowles was such a disappointment in how he handled that team last year, and how much they fell off from what Bruce Arians had put together the year prior, and how things went with Byron Leftwich. Byron Leftwich was left to be the scapegoat last year. Now there's no excuses. Everything's on Todd Bowles at this point. I think if you're Todd Bowles, you don't like what you're seeing from Baker, you'd go to Kyle Trask pretty quick. So even if Kyle Trask doesn't win the job, doesn't mean we won't see him at some point this year.
And you hope you don't see him, because if you do see him, that means that Baker Mayfield is not only struggling, this offense is struggling, and that was the main component last year, only scoring 18
Right,
points
or gets hurt. Right.
Right, gets hurt. I mean, you don't want to see that. I know there's some fans out there who would like to see it because they could get a chance to get one of these quarterbacks. Let's go out to the comments. My pleasure to be to buy the nachos. Appreciate you, TJ. Another tag team partner, Tyler Jones. You give me a TJ Reeves story hanging out with this guy, because I'll give you one, and I don't know if you've heard this or not, but the first time I went to a boxing match, I got a chance to interview Jake Paul at the post conference. Got 3 questions in. He gets me credentialed, of course. The 4th question, I get a Rolex watch. Can you top that, Tyler?
I have a very good TJ story.
Okay.
I hope TJ's still watching, that he hasn't gone away. I know he's got his 2 twins at home that keep him occupied at times. But my favorite TJ story, and I think we laugh about this every couple of months. This was about a year and a half ago. TJ and I called the Conference USA Men's Basketball Championship on TuneIn Radio. It was in Frisco, Texas, just outside of Dallas. And TJ calls me up that morning. Literally, I just moved to Dallas, by the way, within about 4 or 5 days prior.
Yeah.
TJ calls me up. It's Saturday morning. The game is going to be played Saturday night, like 7 o'clock. And he says, hey, just want to give you a heads up. My flight's delayed a few hours. I'm like, okay, no problem. Still early, whatever. And he arrives at Dallas middle of the afternoon, and his bag doesn't show up. And he asked me, like, hey, you mind come pick me up? I'm like, yeah, no problem. And he's waiting to get his bag, and I'm waiting in the cell phone lot. I think we're both waiting out an hour at this point, because I guess everybody had the same problem he did. Sure enough, TJ's bag not only had his clothes and all that stuff in it, it had the radio equipment that we needed to get on the air that night. And, well, turns out the bag got left behind in Tampa. Didn't make the flight. And we're supposed to be on the air in 4.5 hours. And we're like, this isn't good. And so he's trying to track down, well, when's his bag coming in? How's this all going to work? And they said, well, we put it on the next flight. It's scheduled to arrive at 9 p.m. I'm like, well, that's not going to work. We're going live at 7. How are we going to pull this off? And so finally we get out of the airport, and we're about 3.5 hours till tip-off. And TJ and I have to scramble to a Sam Ash guitar store and basically go get this makeshift radio equipment just to be able to get on the air that night. And so I'm driving him from the airport to the Sam Ash, and we're testing equipment there, like, oh, this isn't working, this works, whatever. And it was a whole mess, as you can imagine, with dealing with these guys at Sam Ash. They're very kind, but I don't think they knew anything about radio.
No, they probably didn't.
Right. Well, we found equipment that worked. And TJ was trying to, save money for one broadcast, as you can imagine, not knowing if he could return it later. And so, like, we'll put it this way. We didn't have the highest quality equipment for this one-off event, of last-minute proportions. So we get the equipment. And now we're like 2 hours away from tip-off. We haven't had any time to talk to coaches, talk to players, nothing. Like, we're just hoping to get on the air at this point. And TJ, he's like, hey, I'll be honest, like, I need to shave and make a stop at the Target. I'm like, all right, that's fine. And so he gets the stuff he needs. He shaves, whatever. We get to the arena about 45 minutes before tip-off. Check the equipment, eat a little bit of food, go on the air, go through with the broadcast. And then I took him back to the airport to go get his bag, and he flew home shortly thereafter that. And we got on the air. We made it happen. And most people had no idea that it took that point, but we made it work.
Well, there you go. And that's what you guys do. You guys make it work. Tyler Jones here of Chat Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake. A great story. And I tell you right now, if you look really close, there is a poster back there of, and let me go full screen here, of Sam Ash. If I move my chair a little bit right there, you'll be able to see. You can't see it, but it is. And I got most of my equipment from Sam Ash here locally in Clearwater. So they do a good job of it. That's an awesome.
And TJ got to return the equipment the next day too.
Right, exactly. There's a return policy, so that's a good thing. You guys got a chance to do that, and still got the broadcast and everything like that. So good stuff. You said you cover the Seattle Seahawks, but you also cover the Baltimore Ravens. You know, I felt like any other year for the Bucs, if they had the money, Lamar Jackson would have been the perfect candidate to go after. What did you think of that situation? Were you surprised how it all played out? Because it certainly looked like there's a lot of drama there. It could have been an extended holdout. I mean, how did you feel about that situation, getting Jackson back in the fold?
You know, I felt like Lamar never really wanted to leave Baltimore. He's a Baltimore guy through and through. And we got evidence of that afterwards. He said so himself. He said, hey, I just said what I had to say for business. I never really wanted to leave. I always wanted to be a Raven. And basically, the Jalen Hurts thing really helped out Lamar because that opened up another lane, essentially. Mm-hmm. There was 2 lanes, I think, prior to this. Either you could go the Jalen Hurts lane of maybe I'm not going to get all the guaranteed money, but I'm going to get a ton of money up front. I'm going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. Maybe not get the guaranteed money Deshaun got, but I'm going to get this chunk of change. Mm-hmm. And then there was the Deshaun Watson lane, obviously, where he went for all the guaranteed money. And Lamar wanted to go that lane Deshaun was in prior. But then the Ravens, and they said it all along, the Ravens themselves in negotiations have said, hey, look, you know, we're not sure if we even have that money to be able to put in escrow, okay, to pay you all that guaranteed money. But We'll make you the highest paid quarterback in the league right now, no problem. We would do that for you. Mm-hmm. And he never wanted to go that route. And then once Jalen Hurts went that route, that opened up things where, okay, maybe it's not so bad to be the highest paid quarterback in the league anymore. And I'll say this, besides taking care of Lamar and working out the way that they did, I would say it's been a nearly perfect offseason for the Ravens of what they've done with this offense. OBJ, that was a big deal. Zay Flowers, I really like that pick from Boston College. Rashad Bateman's getting healthy. Mark Andrews is still there. I think, Isaiah Likely's going to develop. Charlie Kolar, I think, is going to be really good at those tight end spots. They might have the best tight end room in the league. Mm. And then even Nelson Aguilar. When's the last time we talked about him, right? He's had a fantastic offseason, and he's going to be your number 4 receiver. Mm. So, yeah, I think Baltimore has done a terrific job. I do wonder about the run game. The signing that they made of Melvin Gordon was a little weird. I thought when there was better guys out there than Melvin Gordon, who they probably could have paid the same money to. Right. J.K. Dobbins is kind of in his feelings right now. He wants to get paid. I mean, every running back right now wants to get paid, and J.K. Dobbins has never had a season over 1,000 yards. So I'm like, get with the program, man. Like,
right.
Quit complaining.
Right.
Usually I'm very pro player. But like J.K. Dobbins, like, what the hell are you bitching about? Like, come on, man.
Well, it was the running backs yesterday that had a Zoom meeting, and they're like trying to come together on how you get paid more money. And it is the way it is, Tyler. I mean, that's the running back market right now, and there's nothing you can do about it. Because
Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs and Dalvin Cook are all not getting paid, why on earth would J.K. Dobbins get paid?
Right. Well, maybe because he thinks he's younger, but he's also been more injured too. He's also had some injuries at the end of it.
I mean, I like J.K. I thought he had a nice finish to 2022. I think he could be a good fit in Todd Monken's offense and everything. And I love Todd Monken, by the way. I think he's going to be fantastic for Lamar and what he'll do for this passing game in particular. Todd Monken's a genius. I loved him all the way back when he was at Oklahoma State as the offensive coordinator there. Obviously he's been in the NFL before and won 2 national titles with Georgia. He'll do a great job. But J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, they'll have enough of a run game, I think, to make it work. But the improvements they've made with the receiving core, night and day difference. And I think you'll see it this year.
Yeah, I got into a real debate with people about this because I was trying to sell it like if the Bucs had the money, go after Lamar Jackson. Do you feel like the Ravens, and I don't feel like they have given him enough weapons. Do you think it's a fair I guess a fair analysis to say that the Ravens haven't given him enough weapons and that's why he struggled somewhat at quarterback? Or in your opinion, he is what he is. You have to build around him. It's not necessarily a guy that's going to be a drop back passer. He's always going to be what he is.
So I think there's a misconception here because think about this, Peter. When Lamar won the MVP, who led the league in passing touchdowns? Lamar Jackson did.
Lamar Jackson. This is what I try to continue to tell people. And they're like, he's just a running quarterback, Tyler.
He's not.
He's not. He's not a running quarterback.
And
yes.
Tampa people will know full and well you don't necessarily have to have the strongest arm to be a successful quarterback in this league either.
Right.
Lamar is not going to throw 80-yard bombs. It's not what he does. But he can be, I think, a fine pocket passing quarterback and get the ball to his playmakers in space and in the middle of the field and do all that. Like I have no concerns about Lamar and his passing abilities. I think also, you mentioned, I do believe that, his lack thereof of receiving talent was a big part of the issue. But I also think Greg Roman got figured out too. Greg Roman's offenses got worse year by year. And people were ready for him to be gone a long time ago. Greg Roman never evolved his offense. Teams figured out Lamar and this system to a bit. They got worse by the year. I think not only did they hire the guy that I said from day one they should hire in Todd Monken, and I think you'll see improvements in that sense, but just also like getting Greg Roman out of there was a win in its own right for them as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of Bucs fans wanted Monken to be the next offensive coordinator, but because there wasn't stability at the quarterback situation, because you weren't sure that Brady was going to come back, he turned down the Bucs, and you know what? Baker Mayfield turned down Baltimore. So I guess he kind of somewhat worked out. I love Dave Canales, even though he's never called a play, and I know how highly regarded he was. Talking about highly regarded or pro football focus grades, Ryan Neal is the new safety for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What should Bucs fans look forward to in seeing him in pewter and red?
I bet you've probably said this stat about 100 times already, that he was the highest graded safety in all of football last year.
Yes.
By PFF. Ryan Neal's very good. Very, I guess underrated is not the right word because PFF knows how good he is. But it amazes me that the Seahawks actually just let him walk. They rescinded that offer. I would have loved to seen him and Julian Love and Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs all there. But Seattle went another route the way that they did. Couldn't keep all of them, I guess. Ryan Neal, think about this. The Seahawks have not been able to depend on Jamal Adams, and that turned out to be one of the worst trades in NFL history. But Ryan Neal kind of stopped the bleeding to an extent for Seattle of when they've lost Jamal Adams and when he hasn't been available, because he's done a really good job stepping in. He's a starting caliber safety in the NFL. He's proved that time and time again with what he's been able to do. And I know he didn't get paid a whole lot of money, but I think Ryan Neal's very capable, and I think you're going to like what you see out of Ryan Neal there in Tampa.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm definitely I looked at the Pro Football Focus. I think they had to get better at safety. I definitely think he's better. He's an upgrade over Mike Edwards. With that being said, a lot of people want to know how many wins the national media is down on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In fact, Vegas has them at like 6.5. Where do you lie on this team? Can they be the Seattle Seahawks of last year with 9 wins? And 9 wins most likely will win you that NFC South. Where do you see this team going? Over, under?
Oh, what you said, 6.5?
Yeah, 6.5. Yeah.
I think over. I think they're about a 7 or 8 win team. I don't think anyone in that division's good. I like Atlanta to win the division. I think that Arthur Smith did a really good job. With his first year, what he did last year in Atlanta, that team wasn't supposed to be anything. They had maybe the worst roster in the league, and they way overachieved. I think Desmond Ritter's better than what people think. Bijan's going to be fantastic. Already have Kyle Pitts, of course. Atlanta, who I got in that division, but Tampa Bay, my big concern. I am not a Todd Bowles fan. I don't think that Todd Bowles is a very good head coach. I think he's fine as your DC, and he did a great job as the DC there in Tampa. But I personally think Todd Bowles is going to hold this team back. Like I could see them winning 7, maybe 8, but I'd be very shocked if it was more than that because I just don't trust a Todd Bowles coach football team.
In your opinion, Tyler, if this team does struggle, do you think that Todd Bowles is on the hot seat?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. If they don't win the division, I think Todd Bowles is probably out. I think that should be with as easy this division is, with how bad these teams are, and still having talented players like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, as we mentioned. That should be the bare minimum of expectation is to win the division. Put it this way, if Bruce Arians was still coaching this team, wouldn't everybody be picking the Bucs right now?
Yes, I think that's what they've been missing, and I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Bowles because he didn't necessarily have his coaching staff, and now he finally has that because Byron Leftwich I think he was god-awful last year, and a lot of people knew exactly what he was going to do around the NFL, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, but for me, he's a little bit too conservative, and I'm going to watch that. I think the offense is going to play to that because if you're going to emphasize the run, you've got to score more than 18 points. And my thing is, with defensive coordinators and any coordinator around the league, what's the adjustment process when it comes to clock management? Because you're not just specializing on defense, it's the whole thing being a head coach. Can he overcome that? Because at times last year, it hurt him. It hurt this team, especially going back to the Browns game last year. You don't put the ball in Tom Brady's hands. I get it. The offense struggled, but you don't have enough confidence, and then you basically end up losing in overtime there to the Browns because you don't have no faith in your offense and you go conservative. I mean, those are the type of decisions that I'm going to have to watch going forward with this team, especially with Bowles.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. I got my doubts, but we'll see if he can put it all together or not. I mean, we've seen flashes with Todd Bowles. It hasn't all been bad. He was thought of very well as a rising, ascending star. When he was early on there in the New York Jets before things kind of fell apart. But we'll see with this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team what they put together. I like I said, I think Atlanta wins the division, but for Bucs fans, I think that should be the expectation is to be division champs. The talent's there. I think it's a matter of if coaching puts it together or not.
The teams you cover, what's the biggest storylines for the Ravens and, of course, Seattle? And I know you said another team there. Well, what are the biggest storyline? New England, yes. For me, is, Bill Belichick, that decision last year with Matt Patricia being the offensive coordinator. I don't understand it. I don't understand how he continues to get jobs besides knowing the right people, and that would be Belichick. So is it Jones's job to lose? Is there a quarterback controversy there because he heard that there was some rift between him and Belichick? Can this work, or is this going down and you're about to have a quarterback controversy with him and Zappe?
I don't think there's a quarterback controversy right now. I think it's Mac Jones's job to lose. If he'll start day one, barring injury of sorts, but the leash won't be long. If he doesn't play well, then you'll see Zappe come in at some point. To me, that's a big story to follow, but kind of like we talked about with Todd Bowles, Belichick, it's pretty simple for him. Make the playoffs, you got a job next year. If not, then Belichick's done. And then we figure out from there, there was some talk today about, if Belichick is done after this year, does he then want to move somewhere else and still coach? Do the Patriots potentially trade him to go get draft picks from another team that he could go to next?
Yeah.
Or does he go ahead and retire at that point? And think about this with New England here. That's a team that we're looking at being the worst team in its division, no question about it. So not only is the expectation that Belichick's got to make the playoffs to be back next year, but also on top of that deck stacked against you. But there's no one to blame but Bill. He's the GM. He's the head coach. The team is assembled exactly how he wanted it to. And quite frankly, he's done a poor, terrible job putting this thing together here the last couple of years. And it all falls on Bill here.
And plus, it's a tough division, and as crazy as that sounds, I mean, you got the Jets, you got the Dolphins, and of course, you got the Buffalo Bills. And I think we'll see what the Bills do in that. But the big story will, of course, be the Jets and Hard Knocks and Aaron Rodgers. How are you looking? Are you looking forward to seeing that? I always love Hard Knocks because then football season is here. Are you looking forward to seeing Aaron Rodgers? Do you think we'll see some personality out of him, or is he going to be the guy that has kind of been surly the last 5 years?
I'll give it a shot and watch it, but the Jets sound like they're not really interested. They're going to limit access to an extent. But for me, Hard Knocks hasn't been good since the year the Browns were on that show. It's become so much more team controlled and PR oriented. It's lost what made Hard Knocks special as far as I'm concerned. I haven't enjoyed Hard Knocks in a while, so I'll give it a shot, but I'm not getting my hopes up that this Hard Knocks season is going to be any good. And I would say that with any team that was on Hard Knocks. It's nothing for me about the Jets, but just my lack of faith in this NFL Films production. Steve Sable would never have allowed Hard Knocks to go by the wayside like it is now.
I agree. Last question, and I'll get you out of here, Tyler Jones. I really appreciate the time. Dalvin Cook, it looks like Nyheim Hines is going to be out for the year. Could Dalvin Cook join his brother and James Cook with the Buffalo Bills? How do you see that playing out? Because reports are that he's asking for at least $10 million. He's looking for the best situation. I don't think anybody's going to give Cook $10 million. I think he's seen his best days. I like him 4 or 5 years ago. I don't like him now. What do you say?
Well, I think there is a bit of misconception about Dalvin Cook that he's somehow lost a step or that he's not the same player that he once was. Numbers say otherwise. Numbers said that he had a really good year last year.
Right.
That he still has something left in the tank, and I do think he does. But I don't want to pay him $10 million. I think he'll be lucky to get $7 million. Buffalo is an interesting situation. You mentioned with James Cook there. But they are in particular needing a pass-catching running back. And Dalvin Cook could be that. There's a great column up on Outkick that came out today from Armando Salguero, who's one of the best NFL columnists in the league. And
Absolutely.
he kind of laid out the situation there with Buffalo of where this could make sense. That, hey, this would be his best opportunity to win that he could get anywhere, that Buffalo team. This could put Buffalo over the top to put them in position right there with Kansas City and Cincinnati. But all about the Benjamins, right?
Yep.
If he wants to go there, then he's going to have to put winning essentially ahead of money because no matter what, cap space is not there. It's around $5 or $6 million for Buffalo. They just simply can't pay him that money. So if he's content with it, then I think it makes great sense to go to Buffalo and help put that team over the top. But if he's looking for more money, Buffalo's not going to be the place to be. I said this today on our main Chat Sports NFL show, NFL Daily, which I host every Monday.
Beautiful.
And I said this about Dalvin Cook. I don't know if he's going to the Bills or not, but I feel pretty confident in saying that he's going to end up in the AFC East because it seems like the 4 teams that are all talking about Dalvin Cook right now are Buffalo, New England, Miami, and the Jets. I think we can say pretty confidently he's going to end up in that division. But what team, that still remains to be seen.
All right, Tyler Jones, thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, the Sports Web. Once again, go ahead and promote what you do there on that great platform, Chat Sports.
Yeah, I'm covering the NFL each and every day, talking college football as well. Also have my podcast, The Jones Report, out each and every week, where we talk all sports, a little pop culture here and there as well. And if you're a NASCAR fan, also check out my racing show, Let's Go Racing, with David Starr, available on all podcast platforms. You can follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, all the same username, Tyler Jones Live. Easy to find me there. Talking NFL all the time. Great time of year, and appreciate you having me on the show, Peter.
Absolutely. Don't be a stranger on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend, because we got 48 days left to go until the NFL season officially starts. Once again, thanks a lot for your time here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, the Sports Web. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. There you go. Tyler Jones of Chat Sports. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll reset it. We'll talk about your Tampa Bay Rays, but I know you want to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So don't be quiet. Get on the phone lines. Light them up. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. It's the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Keep it locked here on the Sports Web, live on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. Are you an athlete or professional struggling with life or career transition? Life isn't always easy, but hope is always present. Best Hope Counseling will help you move forward. For nearly a decade, licensed marriage and family therapist Larry Baumgartner has helped clients empower change and discover solutions using a solution-focused therapy approach. Conversations will focus on what you desire to change, not just the problems that brought you into counseling. From anger to depression or other emotions, Best Hope Counseling is there for you. Contact Larry personally on his direct line at 727-946-1346. Again, 727-946-1346 for a telehealth appointment in Florida and Minnesota, or in person an appointment in Minnesota. Take time out and begin your game plan to reconnect, rebuild, and restore happiness in your life. BestHopeCounseling.com. All right, welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Let's go back out to the comments. This story is 1,000% true, Peter. Absolutely, I believe it.
Oh, yeah.
And I also believe that, TJ Reeves can make anything and everything happen, because I've been around you for so many years, seeing it right before my eyes. Let's go out to Roger Shue. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Trask, amen.
Acknowledge me.
Tribal troll right there, of course, doing his Trask. Let's see, fire Bowles. Enough of that.
This guy sucks.
Can we not fire Todd Bowles before he coaches a game at this point? Can we not do that? I know you're a Chicago Bears fan. I know, I get that. And I get that you're not necessarily the biggest fan of the Bucs, but, stop with the, hashtag fire Bowles stuff. Trinity Relationship Center, Nelson A. from Clearwater. Okay. Ralph says, I'm surprised you're not at Raw, Peter. You know what? To come think about it, I just wanted to do a show tonight. So I'm glad that you decided to tune in. Woo! As Raw is in Tampa, of course, the bodyguard of the bird, Ralph Williams, will be having Turnbuckle Talk at 10:20 on Wednesday night. Of course, recapping WWE action with Raw and, of course, AEW. And, of course, as always, taking your phone calls. F Green Bay. Wah, 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 wah. Green Bay sucks. Did you like that? Well, that was when Aaron Rodgers was there. Now it's going to be Jordan Love. Now the Jordan Love era starts. Is that going to get it done? Is he going to get it done for that team? We'll see. They got plenty of talent. I hear they're going to be competitive. I still think it's the Lions and the Bears, especially Justin Fields in the NFC North. But who knows? Maybe Jordan Love shows them something. Maybe it was time to move on from Aaron Rodgers. Scouts around the league say Aaron Rodgers is not the same guy. He's not making all the throws. He's not as mobile, but that's what happens. Father Time is undefeated. They also said the same thing about Tom Brady when he was coming to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not comparing the situations, but the hype is there between the Bucs and the Jets, with, of course, the Bucs getting Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. And the Jets are hoping that they can duplicate that success that Brady had with Tampa, and, of course, Matt Stafford had with the Rams. doesn't always seem to work out, does it? With Russell Wilson going to Denver. That didn't work out too well, did it? So, do the Jets have enough? Are you interested in Hard Knocks? I get it. We're talking Bucs football. The news of the night, William Golston re-signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do you think about that?
How about them Bucs, baby?
I gave him the Byron. Yes, I hope he tears an ACL opening day. Aaron Rodgers is okay. And Mike says, I'm hoping we get Dalvin Cook. Not sure if that's going to happen. I definitely think they're happy with Rashard White. And you're going to give him a chance with that new offensive line, with Tristan Wirfs being on that left side. They signed Cody Mock today, the last unsigned draft pick, second-round player. I'm excited about him. What's the transition process? Can he come in right away from a small school? Can he give you the Alex Kappa feel? Is he the next Ryan Jensen? Is he the next Ali Marpet? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Let's go out to the tribal troll.
Acknowledge me.
Mr. Roger Shue leading it off here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, the Sports Web. What's on your mind tonight? You like Raw right now?
It's been all right.
Yeah, I'm watching a little bit of it.
Yeah. It's mid, like always.
My
question to you, Peter.
Yes. What's the question?
Where's the Greek? Is he going? Is he at the Barbie movie? Where's the Greek?
He's not at the Barbie movie, and he is not an extra to play Ken in that movie. Those rumors are false. I can say that he's probably at a poker table right now, hopefully getting that money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
Hopefully he is.
Getting that bag.
Yeah, that's it. Getting that bag. So hopefully he'll be back on Wednesday night. If not, we'll get our guest on here. We had Jason Powers on Sports Podcast, my tag team partner of the world. And of course, Mr. Tyler Jones of Chat Sports, which, like 314,000. I mean, their job all day long is to talk about the NFL. Could you imagine that type of job? I mean, what a great job to have. What a great freaking job to have to talk football all day long and all night long. We kind of do that here on the Sports Web, don't we?
Don't you do that all day anyway?
Well, we all know what the other job is.
Shut up!
Yeah, try to talk football.
Mildred is a big fan of the Browns.
Yeah, Mildred, Dolores, and Esther, definitely not big football fans. Sometimes they do surprise me, though. What else is on your mind tonight besides, trying to annoy me?
Does anybody care that William Golston re-signed with the Bucs?
Yes, there is a lot of people that care about this move. And this guy is very underappreciated. He's an underrated player. I get it. The statistics don't tell the whole story. He does the dirty work. He's great on the line against the run. He's improved with his pass rushing, abilities. It is a big-time move, and a lot of Bucs fans, they responded to the post on Facebook. I know you're a rebel. You don't have Facebook. They responded to that post. A lot of them love that move.
I'm on Twitter. I mean X.
Yeah, X. That's what it's called now. X. I don't even know what that is. What is X? What is that? Is that the new Twitter name now? That's what it is?
Yes.
X marks the spot. So, yeah.
That's it.
All right, what else?
The spot where all the cool kids are at.
What else, man?
There was something else. What the hell's going on with the Rays? Losing the Orioles? I mean, they are the best team in baseball. The Orioles might shock some people.
I mean, the Orioles are a good team, and even Harry the Greek said it. My co-host, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports. If not for the Rays and that great start, the Orioles would definitely be the story of the season. Besides the Atlanta Braves, they're talented. They got enough young pitching. The Rays had every opportunity to win all those 3 games they lost, and they weren't able to capitalize on the opportunities, especially when they have runners in scoring position. It's very simple. You're 9-35. 9-35 when your team scores 3 runs or less. Guess what? How many runs did they score yesterday? 3 runs. I mean, they scored 5 on Saturday after they come back, and then their bullpen blows it. I mean, it's one thing after another with this team, whether it's the offense, whether it's the pitching not getting it done in crucial situations. And a lot of people are just expecting, them to continue that 29-7 start. That is not how it goes in baseball. You know this all too well. And I'll tell you right now, I was going to kind of, talk about this. This was a story from CBS Sportsline. The Rays could go in two directions, right? You remember the 2016 Cubs, 47-20. They lost 15 of their next 20 games, and then they were able to right the ship and win 103 games. And what, Roger Shue?
A World Series.
There you go, my friend. Hold on.
The big difference is,
hold on now.
You know as well as I do,
I'm
with
not done yet.
Sternberg being your owner, he's not going to do anything at the trade deadline because he's cheap.
Well, I mean, I'm not ready to say that yet because the general manager came out and said in so many words, this team is going to be all in, that they're going to give their team every opportunity. So if you have to make a move to put yourself over the top and this wins you a World Series or gets you to the World Series, because I feel like, look, Shohei Ohtani is the best player in the game. And
don't even start with the Ohtani crap. It's never going to happen. He will never step foot in a Tampa Bay.
How do you know? I mean, you're probably the same guy that said Tom Brady would never step foot in Tampa Bay Buccaneer uniform. How do you know?
Peter Blake, I've been watching baseball longer than you've been alive.
What does that matter?
He will never.
That just means you're older than me. That's all that means.
Tampa,
that's all that means.
He will never put on a Rays uniform.
And yet there are people out there, the know-it-alls.
You can double check. You can double check with the Greek. He'll agree with me.
Okay, well, you can go ahead and double check with the Greek. But again, if this team gets desperate, and they do have the prospects that a lot of teams around Major League Baseball don't have, they may make this deal, and the Angels may get desperate.
And for what? He's going to be a rental. What's the point?
So the point is that he's one of the best players in the league, if not the best player in the league. He fills two positions as a pitcher. We talked about it. Jason mentioned it. Could be a closer eventually. And then also you get another stick in your lineup. By the way, kind of doing some work there at the plate with over 30 home runs this year. I think that would kind of help this lineup out, don't you?
Well, of course it would, but it'll never happen. I mean, it's nice to play fantasy baseball.
I mean, I guess, again, I think there's a lot of people who didn't think the Bucs were going to win the Super Bowl in a pandemic year with Tom Brady, but yet that happened, and a lot of people didn't think the Tampa Bay Lightning were going to win 2 straight Stanley Cups, and that happened, and they're probably one or a couple injuries away from winning a 3rd Stanley Cup. What's your point? Anything can happen here, especially in the Tampa Bay area. We call this Champa Bay, my friend. What else?
This is true. That was when you had Tom Brady as your quarterback. Let's see what you do with Trask.
Well, it's not going to be Trask. It's going to be Baker Mayfield, and you're going to owe me some wins.
The injury waiting to happen known as Baker Mayfield.
I want to know how excited you are about the Chicago Bears. You've been very quiet. I mean, it's been crickets here.
NFC North champions, and we'll be playing for the NFC Championship.
How many wins?
I'm going to say 12.
All right, 12-5. 12-5.
Maybe 13.
Now, you realize Tristan Wirfs and Rashard White, and Rashard White was talking about this the other day, how he wasn't going to disagree with Wirfs. He said the same thing about the Bucs being 12-5. So you're saying 12-5 for the Bears, winning the NFC North. Is that what you got?
I'm going to say 12 or 13.
Okay.
And
all right.
We will see it together live. So week number 2 when we destroy the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say, remember, you still owe me wings, so be nice to me. What else?
I will bet you your well done shitty ass steak that the Bears beat the Buccaneers week 2.
I'll get back to you on that. All right.
Well, you sound real confident there, Peter. Come on.
I'm confident. I think they can beat the Bears.
Confident that you're going to lose to the Bears.
Nah, I ain't going to lose to the Bears. Get out of here. All right, man.
All right, man.
I appreciate it.
Been a great show. Keep it up. Who do you got coming up?
That's it. It's just this right here. I'm going to sit here and talk to myself all night long unless somebody calls in. How about that?
No, I know you don't have any other guests coming on?
No more guests. Just me and you and everybody else out there watching.
Me and you and a dog named Boo? All right, man.
All right, man.
I'll keep watching. I'll be here.
Appreciate you. There you go, Roger Shue, the tribal troll.
Acknowledge me.
Open phone lines if you want to get in and talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers or your Tampa Bay Rays right now that are on a 5-game losing streak.
Shut up!
God, I hate saying that. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Let's go back out to the comments. I hope he tears his ACL opening day. That's not nice. I'm hoping we get Dalvin Cook. All right, read that comment. You know I'm right. Hey, Roger, give some credit to the part-time players. Golson is something we kind of care about. Absolutely he is. Of course he is. Somebody just texted me saying they want me to see if I can get them on live. I guess we are going to go ahead and try to get them on really quick as I'm producing because he has something to say. In fact, another player was suspended for a year for gambling. All right. I don't know who this is, but let's go ahead and go out to the phone lines. Welcome to the Evolution. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up? This is Mike Stover from CP.
What's going on, buddy? How you doing? Welcome to the
What's
Sports
up,
Web.
man?
I think it's the first time
Yeah.
you called. You know, I don't understand this, Mike. You should be calling all the time. This is the type of show you want to call and brag about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, especially
Yes.
go head to head with the trolls, such as the Giant fan and the Chicago Bears fan.
That's it. We love our trolls here, and I know you're a Florida Gator fan, so again, I won't hold that against you. I will.
That against you that you're
That's
FSU
good.
fan.
That's good. See, now we've got a common ground here. Now, how do you think your Gators are going to do this year, Mikey?
I'm hopefully we get. I mean, get past Georgia. That's big key. Beating FSU and beating LSU, and then SEC, and then of course go to the SEC championship and winning it all, basically shocking the world, and then
Wow.
so
Okay.
hopefully, and and you know what though, I hope we play against the Miami Hurricanes. I hope we play against the Hurricanes so we can complete the pregame.
I'm not sure how good the Hurricanes are going to be this year. I still have my doubts. I think Florida State has more of a likelihood of being pretty good. We'll see. You know, ranked number 3 in the preseason poll. We all know what the preseason poll means. I think they open up versus LSU, which, you know, LSU is going to have some revenge on their mind. So we'll see how that plays out. But lots of expectations for Florida. Of course, it is tough in the SEC with Alabama and Tennessee, and of course, 2-time national champion Georgia. So we'll see how that all plays out. How do you feel about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers? William Golston re-signs. What do you think? You like it?
It's a solid move. It's a solid. I was hoping to get the Dr. Shoe, but he's probably on the last leg of his career.
Mm-hmm.
He'll probably retire for he's having a resurgence in Philly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's he's on the downside of his career. I was hoping to get now what I alluded to the free agent running back situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dalvin Cook would be a better solution for us than Ezekiel Elliott.
Right. See,
So,
I'm not disagreeing with you, and that's the problem. I think Cook believes the same thing, and he wants to be paid over $10 million, and the Bucs just don't have that money at the end of it. Ezekiel Elliott, we heard from the running back coach, right? Skip Pete basically foreshadow, you're not that guy anymore. A lot of these running backs that are out there, Leonard Fournette, trying out for the Patriots once again, nearly signed with the Patriots until Tom Brady came back. He may not be that guy, and running backs are not going to be getting that type of money that they want, especially, a Saquon Barkley. We got Josh Jacobs out there. All these guys are unsigned because they want security. They want to be signed for big money deals. NFL GMs are just not doing it. They're not doing it, Mike.
Yeah, truth be told, I mean, it's like touch and go,
Right.
complete touch and go. But I mean, it would be like a no-brainer because even Dalvin Cook is surprisingly because he's coming off of a banner year. I mean, he's not like winding down like say Ezekiel Elliott, who's like pretty much have like maybe 3 years left on
Mhm.
his on his tires. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I'm playing fantasy, and everybody's like snatching him up. Like, they're snatching up. They're like the most like free agent signed or snatched up by fantasy owners right now.
Well, Rashard White's out there, and the projection for him is 7th round. To me, that's too low. And if you can get Rashard White in the 7th round, I'm telling you right now, Mike, you're going to love this kid. When you got a solid offensive line, when you have the emphasis on running the ball more instead of passing the ball for over 40 times a game, I think this kid is going to surprise a lot of people. I'm a big-time fan of White. I got to ask you this because he was making this comment the other night. He's saying that he's going to agree with Tristan Wirfs on 12-5. Where do you stand? Are you buying it? Are you drinking that Kool-Aid 12-5, or is it a little bit lower for you?
I'm hopefully we have to beat the Saints. We have to get the Saints out of we have to knock the Saints out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see then. Yeah, I know we have Chicago at home. That's probably a win.
Right.
Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota's going to be that. I think we'll knock Minnesota off.
Okay.
Just like we did in 2005.
Okay.
Because they don't have no Cook, no Thielen. So
I like that comparison a lot. Of course, that defense, a lot of question marks. Of course, coming off a 13-win season, but defense very, very questionable. And as always, when you got your number one wide receiver, and you can't even say his own quarterback is a top quarterback in the league. There may be some chemistry problems in that locker room. Just saying.
That's pretty much basically put it in vernacular.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically the paint job that's holding up the termite-ridden house. So I mean, it's like Lethal Weapon 2 or no, Lethal Weapon 3. I think Lethal Weapon 3 where Leo Gitz goes, yeah, you're facing, babe. The only thing holding up the house is the paint job.
Paint job, yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, they definitely have the weapons there. Of course, Justin Jefferson being the main one.
I forgot about him. I told that went over my head. They have Justin Jefferson. They have I don't know who they I know they have Alexander Madison.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, who's the other wide receiver that's going to step up in Thielen's place? You're exactly right, and that's where your corners for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team are Carlton Davis. That's the matchup you want to see. He's one of the top corners in the league. He could definitely prove it. He's shut out some corners before. I love to see him do it against Jefferson.
I hope he I hope he backs up his words. I mean, I hope he because that would look really bad on him if he's he's off-season championship talk, and he's not putting the dog putting the ink to the dog line. So
well, he said we're gonna wreck. I'm not going to say the word on here. I don't want to get kicked out, but I love that. Do you like that? Does that give you more confidence? They got a chip on their shoulder. Are you looking forward to the season more with hearing players like Carlton Davis and Tristan Wirfs?
I prefer more of a quiet storm.
Okay.
Where basically we're have everybody think we're flying under the radar.
Okay.
Have everybody pretty much like the whole NFC South is basically like the groups. They're basically counting us out. They're just saying our attention's gonna drop.
Mm.
The cannons aren't gonna fire so much, and then it's better to come out of nowhere and leave everyone's mouse at the floor, and they can get without ever retracting.
Yeah. All right. How many wins? How many wins we going with?
13.
All right, 13, you're down, Mike. Definitely don't be a stranger. Use that second call if you want to. Let me give you the Ric Flair. Woo! Appreciate the call, as always. Open phone lines. Thanks a lot, Mike, for calling. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, you should be able to get through tonight. I guess Monday's a little bit slower. He's watching Raw or sleeping because the rain outside. You know, when it rains outside, it makes me want to fall asleep. But, of course, we got to do some work inside here. We got to make it rain with sports knowledge. The other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Mr. This guy. My co-host tonight, who's been asked from Roger all night long, where's the Greek? Where's the Greek? Here he is. Harry the Greek. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. How you doing tonight? How'd you do at the poker table, I should say?
Well, I got to tell you, it's the first time in 4 weeks I did not cash in a tournament. I've cashed, actually I won it 3 weeks in a row, and I'm up there. Tonight, I'm on 19 people. They're paying 13 spots, but sometimes it happens. I just ran into a better hand. How are you, Pete?
I'm doing good, and I think, sometimes it kind of happens too. Hold on just a minute here. Jim, we got Harry on the line. We'll come back out to you in a moment. Let me go back out to Harry here. We got Jim on the line, putting him on hold. It's kind of like the Rays right now. It's just happening, as you said, after their torrid start there, 29-7. You're losing 5 in a row. They have really cooled down their offense. I mean, when they score 3 runs or less, 9-35, it's pretty academic. They've got to score more runs, and their bullpen this weekend, not very good. Will blow in 2 games.
Well, I got to tell you, and I'm glad we brought that up. The bullpen's been the issue, and I've said that since about the 5th week.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted to, put their blinders on. Pretty for fans. There's going to be highs or going to be lows into the season, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to get any better. This next series is the one that's going to prove to be a very tough one for them. They don't play good against National League teams. And this Marlins team, son, let me tell you something. They are for real. They can play some ball, but they'll right the ship. Baltimore is going to be hanging around. They're not supposed to win this division. I mean, they're good, but they're not Tampa good.
Well, they're good right now. They're a better team right now, in my opinion. But Tampa Bay had every opportunity to win those 3 games that they lost. Do you think this is in correlation to what happened with Wander Franco, with benching him? Because ever since that's happened, he's hitting like 207 with 1 home run. Randy is not doing nothing. I mean, this whole offense is not doing nothing. Do you think that benching Wander Franco has upset this locker room, this clubhouse?
No. I don't. I think it needed to happen. I'm going to be honest with you. I think some of the managerial decisions that he's made have been pretty bonehead.
Yeah, pretty questionable.
But then again, questionable is a better word. I think they've been questionable since the start of the season. But how do you question and how do you critique a team that starts out 29-7? You can't.
And it's tough to critique a manager that's won 700. He's got 700 wins in his career, but we've always talked about it. That's the thing with Cash. There's some decisions there that just make you shake your head, but you're exactly right. The team and the way they started and the excitement and the fans coming out there. I mean, to me, they have to make a trade. Over, under, they make a trade at the deadline, or do you think they stand pat? And if they do stand pat, do you feel like that's a big mistake?
Pete, that's a great question. I think the team is good enough to win. I do. I told you before the start of the second half, about 2 weeks later, this team will be on fire. They're going to limp into the half, and they're going to play 500 baseball for the second half.
Yeah.
I said it on your show. I've said it. I've seen this before. You know what? It looks like it's going to come to fruition. But I do think this team will be able to turn it on come playoff time. And do I think it'd be a travesty if they don't add somebody? Yes, I do, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, let's look who the owners are.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. And I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because I'm definitely not.
Why?
Well, because it's your own manager.
Hold on. Pete, you're the first one
absolutely
that has been very critical
absolutely
of this ownership
Completely.
And all of a sudden we gave them a pass because they started 29-7.
No, we don't give them a pass for that.
More.
Right. We don't give them a pass. What we do is we take a man at his word. The general manager came out about a month ago saying we're going to do everything we can for this team this year. Paraphrasing, we're going to try to go all in for a World Series. And I believe you got the best opportunity. I'm completely just shocked when I posted about Shohei Ohtani. And I get it. It may be a pipe dream and it's costing, it's rental and everything like that. But I am shocked at how many fans said, you're going to give it the future. The future is now. What are you playing for? If you have an opportunity to win a World Series, you go for
sell your
freaking
soul to
yes.
the devil.
Yes.
You're absolutely correct. But
Thank
they're
you.
not going to do that. They're not going to do that because then if they don't re-sign them now Stu is going to be, Satan times 2. Okay?
Yeah.
Look, the Houston Astros, the New York Yankees, and there has been some talk out of Chicago that the Tampa Bay Rays were interested in 2 Chicago players. Lance Lynn, who's an innings eater, who's been pitching really good as of late, and arguably one of the best right arms in all of baseball in Dylan Cease. But it's going to cost a small fortune. I give Tampa literally a 0% chance of getting them because it's going to cost them half their farm system. And they're not going to do it. But if they were smart, they would do it because Dylan Cease is under contract for the next 4 years. That is, and when I tell you very team-friendly, very team-friendly.
Well, that sounds like a Rays move. That's because he's a controllable pitcher and he's young. I mean, that's exactly what they love.
And I think it'd be foolish for the Chicago White Sox to get rid of a pitcher of his caliber that's making half the money that Lance Lynn is.
All right.
Half the money.
Yeah, I agree with you now. We just talked about this. We're on with Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, on this Monday night, Money Monday show. Iyama Izurike of the Denver Broncos, and I hope I pronounced it correctly, suspended indefinitely for what?
Gambling.
Betting on NFL games in 2022. My friend, your thoughts, because you got on your soapbox on this show. You said you foreshadowed things to come. They have happened. I mean, how many more of these stories are going to come out in this offseason?
There's 4 more coming out in the next 2 weeks. That was one of them.
Wow.
I told you about it. I told you the team it was coming from. I told you in confidence. I'm surprised you don't remember that. That was the team. I also said it on 806 Sports Radio out of Amarillo, Texas. I gave them a team that was coming out of the West. And there it is. Well, I got news for you. There's 2 more teams coming out. One plays in the Midwest. One plays in the NFC South. It's coming.
I hope it's not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I tell you right now, that would definitely not be a good situation.
Let's put it this way. If it is, I don't know about it, but you're going to hear about an official.
All right, training camp starting this week. I know you're a big fan of training camp. Of course, that quarterback battle. You still feel good about your boy Kyle Trask, or is it Baker's job to lose?
It's going to be Kyle Trask's job to lose, but Baker Mayfield. But Baker Mayfield, I mean, everybody can laugh at what you want. I mean, Baker Mayfield's the proven commodity.
Right.
But you have to remember, the guy's a high draft pick. They're going to give him every opportunity to win the job. And I'm going to say it again, Pete.
Yeah.
If it was Kyle Trask's job to lose, they never would have signed them to third-string quarterback money. Okay?
Okay.
Third string, that's his third string quarterback money. That's a good third string quarterback when it comes to compensation. You can say anything you want. He's on a prove-it deal. Trust me. There are 25 other teams in the National Football League that would have paid him more money. He came here because he's actually going to have a bona fide chance to start, and he can prove himself. But I'm telling you now, I still think it's Trask's job to lose. It wouldn't break my heart to see either one, but Tampa has a much better chance of winning many more football games with Baker Mayfield.
All right, 12-5. You buying that? Because Tristan Wirfs said it, and now Rashard White is going with it. So 12-5. You good with that?
Well, wait a minute. Before Tristan Wirfs and some defensive players,
I know.
Agrees with him.
I know.
I think Harry the Greek's already told everybody to bet the over. I'm a good prognosticator. I said this team would win a minimum of 10 ball games. even with Kyle Trask. And I told you, everybody was saying, the New Orleans Saints, the New Orleans Saints. Look, there's a certain quarterback that has a problem with his shoulder. And that's why a lot of teams didn't go after him. That team will finish second to last, if not last in the division. New Orleans Saints bet the under, bet the over with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If they run the ball like I think they're going to, they will win a minimum of 10 games this year.
Love it. Good stuff, Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire. One last question, and I'll get you out of here for the night. We'll see you on Wednesday night here on the Evolution, of course. Tampa Bay, how are they going to fare against the Marlins? They going to stop this losing streak tomorrow? What are you betting on this?
I already told you that I'm going to bet the Marlins, unfortunately, for the series.
Okay.
I thought Tampa was going to win the series against Baltimore, and they were going to struggle against the Marlins, and I still stand by it. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I lose my money because I like to see this team get out of a funk. But they're not playing good against National League teams. And if you're a betting man, stay away from the games, especially if you're trying to bet as a fanboy. So don't bet it. If you're betting with your money and you're not betting with your heart, you're going to have to bet Miami because they're going to be underdogs.
Good stuff. Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire. We will see you on Wednesday night, my friend. All right. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Absolutely, man. I'll talk to you later, Peter. We'll see you Wednesday night. Have a great one. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Good stuff there. Let me give you the monster, man. Yeah. Let's go back out to the phone lines here. Let's go out to Jim. Damn it, Jim. Welcome to the Evolution. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I was just having a little problem with your guest. I forgot what you said his name was. What was that guy's name?
Harry the Greek?
No, second guy. Your second guest.
Roger Shue. Tyler Jones, you mean?
Yeah.
Tyler Jones or Roger Shue? Which one? On the phone or my guest?
Had to be Shue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was talking about that Kyle Bowles couldn't coach his way out paper bag, but I mean, come on now. Let the man get a chance. And
well, I
I'm
mean,
going 10 wins. And where is he coming from with what Atlanta? What Atlanta been doing?
Well, Atlanta has been a lot of people have some expectations of Atlanta because they have added some weapons, especially a Bijan Robinson, who's looking like a generational talent. You know, the big time question is, what is Desmond Ridder? He was 2-2. I mean, that's the big time question. It's always the big time question, Jim, for a team, any team in the National Football League. What's your quarterback going to do? Is Desmond Ridder the answer? We're about to find out if he is. But they have added some talent. And of course, people look back at the Falcons and they say, well, the Falcons defeated the Bucs last year. Well, that was a meaningless game. It didn't mean anything. So, and they won 7 games last year, right? I mean, weren't they 7-10 last year? Let me see here real quick. I believe they were 7-10 last year. Were they not?
Right.
So
first of all, they didn't win no games. And where's their defense at?
Yeah, they were 7-10 last year. So I mean, there's expectations. Where's their defense? That's always the main question with them. Not only the quarterback situation, but where's their defense? Have they done enough defensively? A lot of people feel like they should have taken some defensive talent or maybe traded out instead of taking a Bijan Robinson because you have a Tyler Algier who did well with them last year out of BYU. So, but they decided to go with the generational talent. So we'll see if that works out for you. What else?
Did them Falcons get some new coaching or something? What was he? I don't know what he's hyped up about.
Yeah, Arthur Smith is definitely, I think he's on the hot seat this year for him. And there's big time question marks. So still, it goes back to quarterback. I got to ask you, what do you think about William Golston re-signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? You like that move?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Just keep him.
Okay.
Is that what Coach Palmer coach said? Keep him another year.
Yeah, another year, and I definitely think he's underrated and underappreciated. And I think there's a lot of this fan base understands, the role that he plays and how good he is when it comes to, playing defense against the run and again, improving pass rush technique. It's a good signing, and for me, it helps out because you don't necessarily have to go with Logan Hall if he's not ready. And yeah, that's the major questions there with the defensive line. Will Shaq Barrett be over the injury? Will Logan Hall take that next step? Will JTS take that next step? They're going to have to. If not, then there's going to be big-time question marks about this pass rush and how this team defends the run. Jim, thanks a lot for the call. Anything else?
No, that's about it. I'll listen to you the rest of the day. How much you got left? How much show you got left?
Man, we'll see. We'll see how much show I got left. I got to get through some things here. Probably got to take another commercial break, and then we'll see how it goes. So if you want to use that second call, feel free. All right?
I appreciate it.
All right, man. Appreciate you right there.
Yeah.
Damn it, Jim. I got to get his sound effect. Jim Sutton from Ohio, calling all the way from Ohio. Big-time Bucs fan. Open phone lines if you want to call up, or you want to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers or your Tampa Bay Rays. 48 days until the start of the NFL season. I said 48 days. I said 48 days. All right, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. again, 727-409-7528. Let's take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll reset. We'll talk about your Tampa Bay Rays. We'll talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or around the NFL. What is going on? Are you excited about it? Here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, the Sports Web. Keep it locked. Are you an athlete or professional struggling with life or career transition? Life isn't always easy, but hope is always present. Best Hope Counseling will help you move forward. For nearly a decade, licensed marriage and family therapist Larry Baumgartner has helped clients empower change and discover solutions using a solution-focused therapy approach. Conversations will focus on what you desire to change, not just the problems that brought you into counseling. From anger to depression or other emotions, Best Hope Counseling is there for you. Contact Larry personally on his direct line at 727-946-1346. Again, 727-946-1346 for a telehealth appointment in Florida and Minnesota, or in person an appointment in Minnesota. Take time out and begin your game plan to reconnect, rebuild, and restore happiness in your life. BestHopeCounseling.com. All right, welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Once again, open phone lines if you want to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. I am smiling. I am happy tonight. I got a big surprise coming for you guys out there, the webheads and the Tampa Bay sports fan watching this show on a nightly basis. A big-time surprise. There are big-time plans in the future for this show, what we're going to do during football season, so definitely keep it locked. Let's go out to Rashard White, his comments to friend of the show there, Kevin O'Donnell of Fox 13, who's been on here. We got to get him on here again. Always love to talk to Kevin. Always like to talk Bucs football, of course, on this show. He interviewed White positively and good vibes and things like that. What he's looking forward to, you know what comes with playing football. You're going to get hit regardless, of course. Florida heat is different. You got to be ready for it. I tell you right now, went out the other day, thought I was going to melt. Not a good idea, by the way, guys, if you're a Floridian. I've been here all my life, but the heat is just something different. It's like my kitchen on Saturday night. Everything burns. I mean, I got to make a shirt saying air fryers save lives because, again, everything burns. I thought it was going to melt. We're wearing this black shirt. My poor dog right now who's sleeping, I don't want to wake him up. He's got black fur. He turned around and said, Dad, it's time to go in. That's how hot it is. My dog always wants to go out. I'm taking him on a walk around the block. He wants to go in. It's hot. So, we'll see if that's a home field advantage this year because the Bucs are playing a lot of 1 o'clock games. That may be a home field advantage where the Bucs can use that to their advantage. You like that? He says, my reaction is just to laugh. Everybody has to do their job. Everybody has a right to their opinion. I'm big on energy. That's the type of guy I am. Yeah, I talked to White his rookie year. He said the same exact thing when Herman Edwards compared him to Eric Dickerson. He's entitled to his opinion. I'm more Le'Veon Bell, more this guy than Eric Dickerson. He also says, it's just been good. He's a humble guy with a chip on his shoulder, with some confidence, with some swag. It's not bad to have. And I believe he's talking about Tristan Wirfs. And he says, I see Tristan said he believes we go 12-5. I do believe that. So I'm going to ride with Tristan. I believe we win 12 games. 12-5. Are you buying that, Bucs fans? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. And the other number, in case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Let's go on to the comments here. Roger Sue says, I control because I'm the tribal troll. That you are. He plays for Denver. He's out for the year for gambling. We talked about that. I sent you the gambling story while at work this afternoon. I know. I saw it. But, I have to focus on beating you in sales. With Dolores and Esther and everybody else on the phone. Bellinger absolutely killing it right now for the Cubs. Is that a situation where the Rays trade for him possibly? Top 5 NFL running backs, the best position for a breakout season in 2023. This from Bleacher Report. They say for Rachaad White, the greatest concern about White is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' questionable offense. Not only did star quarterback Tom Brady retire, but the offensive line got revamped as well. Sounds familiar. It's what we're going to be talking about all year. Tyler Jones of Chat Sports even told you. That's my biggest question mark. Not only quarterback position, not even quarterback position. The revamped offensive line, and can they make that commitment to the run game? Opportunity should be an issue or should not be an issue for White. White established himself as the Bucs' top runner late in 2022, finishing the season with 481 yards on the ground and 50 catches for 290 yards. That's what he can bring you. Not only he can do all 3 facets, right? Can run the ball with patience, not fumble the ball. He can pass protect. And then he can also catch the ball out of the backfield. That's the reason why you make him a premium pick out of Arizona State. That is what Jason Light is looking for. That's what Ronald Jones was supposed to be. That's the reason why Leonard Fournette was on this team for so long, because he could do all 3 facets at the running back situation. Tampa released Leonard Fournette after the season. Free agent addition Chase Edmonds isn't likely to command a hefty one. Even if the Bucs struggle for the first post-Brady campaign, White has a terrific chance to join the list of NFL most productive backs. I'm telling you, you may be able to get a dark horse here in White, because the projection right now, you fantasy football geeks and nerds, just like me, I'm a geek and nerd just like you. I do care about your fantasy football team. You'll never hear a sports talk show host say, I care about your football team. You usually say, I don't care. I do care. 7th round, if you can get him, I think that's a steal. I think White is an over 1,000-yard rusher this year. Just saying. What do you think? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. I tell you what, really quick, let's switch gears because I haven't gotten this guy on in a little bit. Let's go out to the great Paul Stewart of BuckPower.com doing his countdown of the top 100 players in Tampa Bay Buccaneer history on the Sports Web Live. Here we go. It's your host, Peter Blake of the Sports Web, back here with Mr. Paul Stewart, of course, the, in my opinion, official historian of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but it's unofficial at this point, from the Buck Power Podcast Network. Paul, welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television with this great countdown of 100 players of all time in Tampa Bay Buccaneer history.
Yeah, we're bringing the passion, we're bringing the excitement, we're bringing the history. Because what we're doing here is we're telling Buccaneer fans about some of the great names from the past of the 48 years of Buccaneer football. So people know the likes of the Tom Brady's and the Cameron Braids and the Rachaad Whites who are playing now. We're going back right to day one and telling you about some of the other players and telling the stories about them and why they should be in this top 100 countdown.
Absolutely, and the name that catches my eye to start it off here at number 80 is Vinny Testaverde, and the reason why I say that from memory, first, this is my first NFL draft with my father. He basically sits me down at 8 years old, and I think before this, I'm a Bucs fan. This is what I'm told from my mom and my dad. They could be exaggerating, but I kind of think they're true about this, and they're correct. But this is what I remember, all the expectations. number 1 overall pick in 1987's NFL draft, Heisman winning quarterback out of the University of Miami, and he's here at number 80. What's your memory of Vinny Testaverde and the expectations? Because Bucs fans were going crazy. He was the guy that was going to save this franchise, of course, following many quarterbacks, and they were kind of trying to lump him in there with, being possibly like Doug Williams, right?
Yeah, I felt very sorry for Vinny looking back because he really was put in a no-win situation. All the pressure was put on him right from the start. And unfortunately, I always feel Coach Ray Perkins ruined him because he just continually harassed him, shouted at him, yelled at him for making mistakes. He never gave him the encouragement that he needed. And Vinny actually became a far better quarterback after he left the Buccaneers. Now, do we include him in this list because of all the things that went wrong? Well, yes, because he is still one of the top 100 players. He started, 80-odd games for the Buccaneers. He did have some very memorable games. So, yes, you can say the expectations, were not met, but he does deserve his place on this list. But I do feel very sorry that he never had his chance to succeed here with the Buccaneers.
And he definitely had, some moments with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to show that highlight where he has that long run. I remember him playing well versus the Chicago Bears, him and Mark Carrier. But going back to it, at the end of the day, did he really have enough around him? And that's, an example. You get a guy out of college, he has great success. It doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to transition over into the pro game. And furthermore, when he left the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course, he had some great success with taking the Jets, I believe, to the 1998 AFC Championship game. Let's go to 79 here and educate me on how good Charlie Hanna was.
Well, he started off as a defensive lineman, and he was converted to offense by John McKay in his third NFL season. He became a very, very good offensive tackle. He was the brother of John Hanna, the Hall of Fame guard with the New England Patriots. Now, my memory of Charlie Hanna was at Doug Williams Hall of Fame dinner the night before he went into the Ring of Honor. Charlie was the life and soul of the offensive table, telling some amazing stories. And he's someone I've promised to have a game of golf with one day. But he was a really good offensive lineman for the Buccaneers in the early 80s.
Good stuff there. We're going back. We're on with Paul Stewart of the Buck Power Podcast Network.com. I'm your host, Peter Blake here. Top 100 Buccaneers of all time on the evolution of sports talk television, the sports web. Let's go to 78. One of my favorites, and I think much maligned by the fan base. And it's not necessarily fair because consistently hasn't been able to stay healthy, but when he is able to stay healthy, he is definitely one of the best young corners in the league. He is paid as such by the organization. At 78, that would be Carlton Davis. Your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely the best cornerback we have on the roster at the moment and a very key part of the defense. And Jason Light did build a very good defense that helped the Bucs win the Super Bowl. Yes, Tom Brady came in and was the icing on the cake and made it happen. But it was the young talent on defense. So I think Carlton, he deserved his contract extension, deserves his place on the list, and he is a very key part of the Buccaneer defense going into the 2023 season.
And I think a lot of people would like to see him finish with some more interceptions, and because he could definitely make things happen. And like you've said, he's been able to shut down some of the top wide receivers in the National Football League. And I feel like eventually he's going to be higher on this list. I always go back to his game versus Tyreek Hill. Again, people criticized him, but anytime you go one-on-one with Tyreek Hill, it's not necessarily going to be the best matchup. The Bucs came in with the plan in Super Bowl 55. And he definitely was a big-time part of shutting him down along with that defense going forward. So Carlton Davis, a big cog in that Tampa Bay defense this year. And, of course, some of the comments he had, I love it. I love the confidence of the young man. Let's go out to 75 here. Educate me. This is before my time. Cecil Johnson, how good was he as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer?
Well, the Buccaneers had a tremendous linebacking core that took them to the division title in 79 and 81. They made the playoffs 3 times. Cecil Johnson was one of those linebackers, along with Dewey Selman, who we've covered already. Richard Batman Wood, who's going to be in there, David Lewis, we've already covered. And they were part that 3-4 defense, the linebackers were the successes. And Cecil was an undrafted free agent in 77. He made a starting lineup as a rookie, and he remained part of the key Buccaneer defense for the next 9 seasons. And the great trivia fact about Cecil, his brother was the drummer for KC and the Sunshine Band.
How about that? You learn something new every day here on the Sports Web. Bug Power, top 100 players of all time here. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with, in my opinion, the official historian, now the unofficial historian, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Get on that, Mr. Paul Stewart of the BuckPower.com podcast network. Let's go to 73. What could have been Aqib Talib at 73? Why I say that? Lots of potential, had some off-the-field problems. The Bucs decide to trade him. Goes on to the Patriots, goes on to the Broncos, wins a couple of Super Bowls there. What's your memory of Aqib Talib? Because I remember Rondé Barber telling Pewter Report at the time that he was the best corner in the draft, and that never was a question. The talent was always there. It was always the off-the-field stuff.
On the field, one of the greatest cornerbacks the Buccaneers have ever had. Off the field, wow. When I was at training camp with the Bucs in 2011 in London, there were 3 players I was told to stay away from, and Aqib Talib was one of them, and you could see why. A lot of the other players were scared of him. He had a real reputation off the field. Now, that game in London was where the beginning of the end happened for Raheem Morris, and there was some stuff that happened in the locker room and on the field. Talib picked up a very stupid personal foul penalty late in that game against the Bears. I was right on the sideline when it happened and heard what was going on, and I heard some of the other Buccaneer players trying to calm Talib down and almost walking away with what Talib was saying to them. Tremendous player on the field, dreadful player off the field, deserves his place on this list, but wow, I hope he doesn't watch what I just said about him.
Well, that's okay, because we're being honest, because even he would say that he was immature back in the day with gun charges and just multiple stuff. Do you think the Bucs made the right decision with moving on with him? Because a lot of people look back at it, and we're going to mention this player, LeGarrette Blount. He was also let go, a part of the Greg Schiano era, where you let go of not only LeGarrette Blount, but also Talib in this case.
Yes, because it's easy to look back and just look at numbers and, that was a bad trade. You've got to look at what the situation was at the time, Peter. And this was, unfortunately, it was one of the cases where you make a trade addition by subtraction. By taking a player out of the locker room, you hopefully make it better. Talib was a complete and utter loose cannon, and the Bucs had to get rid of him when they did. There was no choice.
All right, good stuff there. Number 72, this is one of my personal favorites, because actually what people don't know, and you can look back in the archives of the St. Pete Times at the time, as a kid at 13, 14 years old, I was asking this man when they had newspaper questions, how does it feel to be the oldest quarterback in the National Football League? That is a true story. Look it up. We will post it here. Steve DeBerg at 72. What's your fondest memories of his stints? Because he had a couple, not just in the mid-'80s, but also in the early 90s. Educate me, Paul.
Yeah, I love Steve DeBerg. I mean, he came in to play for the Bucs in '84, led them to their best offensive season at the time. He was then replaced by Steve Young, then replaced by Vinny Testaverde, came back in '92, was then replaced by Craig Erickson. And, of course, he had the same situation all through his career. Joe Montana even replaced him with the 49ers. Steve, again, great person. Everyone loves Steve DeBerg. Again, someone else I've got a game of golf lined up with next time I'm in Florida. Looking forward to hearing some great stories. Now, one great DeBerg story I can tell you, and I can now confirm it's true, was in the final game of the '84 season against the Jets. The Jets brought along Mark Gastineau, great defensive end, one of the best ever, and he'd been arrested the week before at the Studio 54 nightclub in New York. Still played in the game, and DeBerg came to the line of scrimmage and called out as the cadence, Studio 54, Studio 54. Well, Gastineau didn't even wait for the snap. He just jumped the line and tried to kill DeBerg, who was too busy laughing. Gastineau got called for the offside penalty. The Jets drag him away, and Joe Klecko is saying, for God's sake, don't do that again. We can't control him. There's no need to antagonize him. And DeBerg's just laughing. Well, the story I heard was from Randy Grimes, and he and Ron Heller were telling DeBerg, please don't do that. We can't even block him. He's going to kill you if you do that again. Steve DeBerg, great practical joker, great quarterback, great man, well deserving his place on this countdown.
All right, good stuff there. Paul Stewart of the Buck Power Podcast Network.com. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here on the Sports Web. Top 100 Tampa Bay Buccaneers of all time. 71, Greg Spires from Florida State University. You know, a lot of people talk about Simeon Rice, but how important, in your opinion, was Spires to that defensive line unit?
In the Super Bowl, massive, Peter, because he was one of the real underrated stars of that Super Bowl win. There were so many people who could have been named MVP apart from Dexter Jackson. Dwight Smith had his 2 interceptions. Simeon Rice was in the backfield. Sapp was everywhere. But Spires had a huge game. And the more you go back and watch that Super Bowl, the more you notice how Spires played. A tremendous addition to the team in 2002. That came in when John Gruden arrived, and he played 6 very, very good season for the Buccaneers and well deserves his place on this list. Again, a player not most Buc fans would remember as being a star, but he really was an underrated star on the Super Bowl victory team.
And, of course, he did have that one sack, the first sack versus Rich Gannon, which kind of set the tone for that defense overall for the entire night. Let's finish off here with number 70, Anthony Booger McFarland, and why this comes to mind. I remember the draft because my dad wasn't there. My mom actually had to fill in. Can you imagine her sitting there for 7 to 10 hours to listen to me talk about nothing but Tampa Bay Buccaneer draft, and, of course, the rest of the draft, all that nonsense. She was able to put up with it. The Bucs select him. I thought at the time they should have taken Javon Kearse, but, of course, they were correct. He definitely took over for Brad Culpepper, and, of course, after football, became a pretty damn good analyst for Monday Night Football on ESPN, right?
Yeah, and he actually made his debut presenting on British television because after I left Sky Sports here in the UK, the NFL started sending across former players to gain experience doing one-off presentations on British television as guests. And Booger McFarland was one of those first people to come over. Now, the story I always heard that he was drafted in 99 because the Bucs were worried about Warren Sapp. They weren't convinced he was going to be able to remain on the field. He had some off-field issues around that time. And the Bucs drafted McFarland as a potential replacement for Sapp if Sapp had to leave the team. It turned out they worked together. Now, of course, he unfortunately had to miss the Super Bowl because of injury, which was a great shame. But he was a tremendous defensive lineman in his own right. And as you say, he's gone on to a very successful career as a pundit on Monday Night Football. Well done, Booger.
Absolutely. Well done, Booger, and also did some local radio here for a little bit. Mr. Paul Stewart, the unofficial historian. I call him the official historian of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Once again, go ahead and promote your great site, buckpower.com.
Oh, you've just done it for me, Peter. That's what it is. It's every player, every game, everything Bucs. It's totally free to access. You'll find clips of former players, highlights of great games. Any question you've got about the Buccaneers, it's there. Don't Google it, but power it.
Great stuff there, Paul. All right, welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. Thanks to the great Paul Stewart of buckpower.com. I would say the official historian of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he is the unofficial. Once again, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, get on that. Let's go ahead and end it off there. Thanks a lot to all the guests tonight. Mr. Jason Powers. Well, we were going to end it off, but guess what? The phone rang. I asked for phone calls. I asked for conversation, so I'm not going to end the show. How about that? Let's go out to Mr. Curtis from Newport Richie, one of my favorite callers out there. Welcome to the Evolution. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Well, I'm glad we're Golston re-signed with us.
Right? Is that not a good signing? A lot of people will say, go ahead.
Here's the thing. This defensive line could have a great rotation because you can put Golston, you can put Kalijah, you can put Hall, you can put all those guys. You can rotate all those guys.
That's correct.
And I think Kalijah Canty, he could come up and.
Well, and I think a lot of people just assume because, you're comparing him, the comparison is to Aaron Donald, a little bit unfair, but, very similar. and size, statistics, strength coming out of Pittsburgh, that he's just going to play the defensive tackle position. We all know that Todd Bowles and his flexibility with some of his defenders, he's going to have some type of plan. He already had some type of plan with drafting Mr. Cansey there at 19.
I'm gonna say this. I know JTS. I know a lot of people aren't satisfied with him yet. Okay.
Mm.
I've seen him do some good things playing inside the defensive line next to Vita.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't mind every once in a while them putting him in the middle. Putting him next to Vita, and even putting Kalijah on the end and rushing the passer.
Certainly possible. Certainly possible. Don't they use Aaron Donald the same way? You don't just use them inside, you use them on the outside. Todd Bowles is known for that.
I know you're a football guy like I am.
Sure I am.
We remember that, I believe it was the 07 Giants that beat the Patriots. They had a
You do me a favor. I don't know if your kid is sleeping. Can you speak up a little bit? They're saying they can't hear you for some reason. I don't know why.
They had a hell of a rotation on that.
There we go.
Line.
Okay.
With the Giants.
Right.
The Giants had a hell of a defensive rotation on that defensive line.
Who could forget that Giants team in 2007 with Matthias Kiwanuka, Justin Tuck, Michael Strahan, OCU Minora, and that was the team that beat who? The Bucs in the first round at Raymond James Stadium with Jeff Garcia at the controls. I remember all too well.
They had a great rotation in the back of that. In front of that defensive line.
Yeah.
And I really think this is the year where everybody, this is the year that the defense could really carry this team this year.
Yeah.
Because besides, we got a couple of new pieces on that defensive line, but everywhere else is pretty much everybody who's been here except for whoever's going to be the safety next to Antoine Winfield.
Well, you heard Ryan Neal. You heard from Tyler Jones, and I'm going to definitely edit that clip up. He goes, you already heard it. Pro Football Focus has it as the number one safety. I don't understand why he didn't re-sign with the Seattle Seahawks, but you guys got a player there, and I'm excited about that. Ever since he signed in the offseason, Jason Light, that administration in that front office just gets it, Curtis. They just get it. They know how to do deals.
And I'm going to tell you this. A lot of people, where I work at, a lot of people, they make a lot of fun because they're like, hey, you guys went from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield. And I'm like, dude, let me tell you something. Baker Mayfield is a little more mobile than Tom Brady is.
Yep.
Okay. This guy could roll out. He can roll out. He can hit Godwin. He can hit Evans. He can hit Gage. He can hit all these guys down the field.
Mm-hmm.
Just from a little rollout, because that's the thing. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Tom Brady. I appreciate the Super Bowl ring that he came to Tampa and he got us. But we live in a football world nowadays where your quarterback needs a little bit of mobility.
Absolutely. And the kind of offense that you're running with the quarterback waggles and the mobility and possibly, RPOs, as crazy as that sounds to a Bucs offense, that may be incorporated. Think about what the Rams do with the motion. Think about what Seattle did last year with Geno Smith. I certainly think all those components are possible, and I believe that that's the reason why you're excited about having Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask. I still think it's going to be Baker Mayfield because you have that mobility, which you didn't have last year with Brady. Absolutely.
And I feel like this offensive line, which people aren't looking at, is already better than the offensive line was last year.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, we didn't get Ryan Jensen back to the playoff game at all.
Yeah.
Not one game.
Nope.
He played in the playoffs.
He played in the playoff game and he wasn't 100%. So you're knock on wood. Hopefully you have him for the full year. And let's just say for what it is, Curtis. That offensive line was definitely battered. You lose Ali Marpet to retirement. You lose Ryan Jensen to injuries. You lose the other guys there. Donovan Smith is hurt.
I thought we were gonna be okay with Shaq Mason because that guy was a pretty decent player.
Sure.
But we that offensive line just looked terrible.
It looked terrible. It wasn't good. It wasn't good.
They couldn't open up holes for the running back. And listen, as much as I love Leonard Fournette, he was not hitting the holes like he used to.
Yep.
Even there wasn't a lot of big holes that the offensive line was open.
Right. That's the problem. There was not many holes that they're open up.
Rashard White
Yeah.
great hitting those tiny holes.
Correct.
And I want to say another thing. I can't wait to order me a creamsicle Rashard White number 1.
Number jersey. 1. You like that jersey? I like that choice, Curtis. I like your choice.
How could you not like a number 1?
Yes.
Creamsicle jersey.
I love it. I think you're thinking on the right. We're on the same wavelength here. I think that's definitely the player you need to watch. And I mentioned in fantasy football, the projection right now, 7th round. You get him in the 7th round, I think you got a dark horse there, a running back that's could be a first, second round pick with the production.
Well, you see how much Mike Evans is disrespected every year.
We're not
even going to go back. We're not even going to go back into.
No, let's not do that because that makes me angry.
We're not going to talk about Chris Godwin coming off an ACL and having over 1,000 yards and 100 catches.
Yeah,
how disrespected he is. Get out, dude. You know what? I don't. Sometimes I'll listen to you, Peter, because when I watch ESPN, I hear a lot of jock riding, if you know what I'm saying. It's ridiculous. Like, don't get me wrong. Some of the information is credible or whatever, but a lot of it is people and their opinions.
That's it. And I have an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's entitled to an opinion on the sports web. It doesn't necessarily mean they're right. Doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong. But let's look at the numbers at the end of the day. Here's a guy that's coming off a major knee injury, has over 100 catches, over 1,000 receiving yards, is still probably more productive than any wide receivers out there. And yet you don't talk about him in the same breath. I mean, you're talking about DeAndre Hopkins, better than Chris Godwin? Really? Preposterous. Of course, I'm going to the Madden rankings because you only rank him 86. Madden, how you do that? 90 from Mike Evans. How do you do that?
This guy sucks.
Don't get it.
Because this is the world that we live in. You have to be Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase.
Right. So you got to be flashy. And that's the thing I always tell Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, and I'll continue to say this. Enjoy the fact, and I talked about this with Fred McGriff, which we didn't get a chance to get to that interview. Of course, congratulations to Fred McGriff and getting into the Hall of Fame.
Super congratulations.
Yes. You know what? We may play that interview before I get off of here, but yeah. I mean, he was perfect. Yeah.
I remember when I first moved to Florida, that guy was the big Devil Ray. He was, when the Devil Rays first became a team.
Sure.
Him and I think it was, Wade Boggs or something?
Wade Boggs. Him and Wade Boggs. Hit show. Wade Boggs and Fred McGriff and Greg Vaughn and Vinny Castilla, but Castilla because he stole a lot of money from the Rays and do much of anything.
I remember playing the baseball games on PlayStation, and that Devil Rays team had a hell of a batting lineup.
They did. They certainly had some hitters in that. Jose Canseco, remember him? They had him in there too. Yeah. Not enough pitching though. Not enough pitching, my friend. Not enough talent.
Going back to this Bucs team. Dude,
yeah.
We're clearly underestimated this year.
Correct.
And I'm going to tell you something. As long as we don't turn over the ball, and we can get any type of consistency, we are going to shock the hell out of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because the NFL is all about consistency and momentum.
That's correct.
That's all it's about. I mean, like I'll use Tua and the Dolphins. Like that guy, when he was healthy, the Dolphins were a scary team to play.
Who's going to guard them? Who's going to guard the outside receivers? Waddle and shoot, it's getting late. Tyreek Hill, both of those wide receivers, fast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been watching sports like I've been watching sports for years. Like every year, there's a team that comes out of nowhere because you don't expect anything from them.
Sure.
And these guys, they go in there, they put their head down, and they play their behinds off.
Right.
So, and I feel like this is the year where Todd Bowles is finally his team, because we're going to all say this. We transitioned. That team last year was a transition from Bruce Arians.
Correct.
And him and Tom Brady not seeing completely eye to eye.
Correct.
That was Tom Brady. That was Tom Brady's team.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go on and put it out there. I don't care what anybody says. It's just how I feel. It's my opinion. That was Tom Brady's team. Because I watched Todd Bowles when he was the Jets coach. This guy likes to run the ball and play good defense.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do that at all last year. We didn't run the ball at all last year.
You didn't run the ball, and that's what you're excited about this year with the emphasis on Rashard White and running the ball and taking the ball out of, again, Mayfield or Trask's hands, especially Mayfield, because we know that, the more you throw the ball, the more of an opportunity to throw an interception or have a fumble or something along those lines. Curtis, anything else here on the evolution?
I'm gonna make my bold prediction right now.
Make it.
Ryan Jensen is going to take Cody Mock up under his wing. Cody Mock is going to be a Pro Bowler this year.
All right. Cody Mock, a Pro Bowler in his first year. I like it, Curtis.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to give you the Ric Flair. Woo! Keep on calling the evolution of sports talk television, the sports web, my friend. Always welcome. 48 days until football. You ready, my friend? You ready? All right, he's ready. All right, let's go back out to Jim here using his second call. Damn it, Jim. Welcome back to the evolution. What's on your mind?
What's up? I think we're going to win 10 games this year.
Yeah?
I think the team looks pretty good overall. And I think we're going to win the division because I don't know what he's talking about with the Eagles. But the Eagles need to get their stuff together.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at the division as a whole, right? We continue to talk about this. Carolina has a rookie quarterback in Bryce Young. That's a big-time question mark. You're not sure about Atlanta, although they have lots of talent, if you will, and then Bijan Robinson, the hype there. But is their defense going to get it done? Their coaching going to get it done? And what is Desmond Ridder? And then you have the Saints, who have been the thorn in the side of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers throughout this whole existence of the NFC South, who, by the way, the Bucs swept last year, but they pick up Derek Carr. You're not going to have Kamara for some games there. They do still have some talent, but I think that defense is getting a little older, especially at Cam Jordan. So Bucs can win this division. It's still theirs for the taking. It is.
Yeah, I was worried about the Saints and pretty much it. I mean, we're going to have to see about the other teams.
Yeah, absolutely. What else?
What I say, we're going to go 10 and whatever.
10-7. You like 10-7?
Yeah, make it to the playoffs, and we go from there.
Okay, I like it. 10-7, and you can always change that prediction if you want to. You got 48 days left until football season starts. Damn it, Jim. Thanks a lot for the call here on the Evolution. All right.
All right, thank you, man. You have a good night.
All right, good stuff there. Jim using his second call. That is going to wrap it up. Let's read the rest of these comments, and then we'll get out of here. Sean Tucker tweeted that he's cleared, so congratulations to him. I think there is some big-time expectations with the undrafted rookie out of Syracuse. You look at the highlights there. Can he stay healthy? Is he going to be the second guy? Right? I mean, Chase Edmonds, you pick him up in free agency. You also have Keyshawn Vaughn, hasn't really gotten the opportunity, gotten the reps. Sean Tucker may be that guy that you look out for. So good news there. Thanks a lot, Christopher Cole, for that. I can barely hear him. We fixed that. Thanks, Peter. Absolutely, Jim, again. I'm going to get Godwin on offense if I can. Absolutely. Pick him up in fantasy football. If, the analysts out there are saying he's not going to be that good, look at the numbers. I don't care about your feelings. I care about the numbers. I care about the stats. Numbers are not for losers. Stats are not for losers. They're for people that want to win fantasy football. And let's just put it out there, right? Here's a guy who's coming off a knee injury, has 100 catches, over 1,000 receiving yards, has very productive and an offense that's only scoring 18 points a game. What do you think he's going to do with 2 years removed from a knee surgery? Just saying. So I think that's definitely a good move if you want to get him in fantasy football. Let's go out to this story here, and this is in care of Joe Bucs fan from the Go Long podcast. As Bill's personal director, Jim Manos, who has spent a combined 13 years as a scout with the Eagles and the Saints, says with Brady that you're maxed out with Brady at this point. he was an easy guy to prepare for. For defense, he wasn't going anywhere. I just think you'll be able to do more with Mayfield because, to be honest, he's just younger, tougher right now. Brady was good, but Brady was checked out. Wow. Some comments there from the Go Long podcast as we came in here. Not only were we talking about William Golston being re-signed, but the Bucs did make a move as they released, and I'm looking for the information right now as I'm just going through my notes. Again, open phone lines if you want to get on the phone. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. In case you can't get through, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. It's the Sports Web live here on I Love St. Pete, the Hub and Amped Up Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, on this Monday night edition. Jeremy Banks was released. He was an inside linebacker, undrafted guy, got him out of Tennessee, had character issues. He was released from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Nobody knows why. Was it character issues? Was it the overall talent? We heard that, there was some expectations. So he was released. So we'll see how that all plays out. Of course, the Rays will start their series at Tropicana tomorrow night versus the Florida Marlins in the Centris series. So we'll see what they can do there. Hopefully, are they on the road tomorrow night, or are they? Let me see here. Let me just make sure to check this out. I thought they were at home, but they may be on the road here. Let's see. Yep, they are at home at Tropicana. So Marlins at the Rays in the Centris series. Let's see if the Rays can snap that 5-game losing streak. Thanks a lot to all the guests tonight. Powers on Sports Podcast. Check him out. Jason Powers. Of course, go to the buckpower.com podcast network. No quarter giving coming back. And then, of course, Mr. Tyler Jones of Chat Sports. Check him out. 314,000 multiple channels. Does a great job there. Seattle Seahawks, Baltimore Ravens, and, of course, the New England Patriots. And as always, the text messages, the calls, I love it all. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Definitely like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Like I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. And do 3 things for me on this Monday night edition of the evolution of sports talk television. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the Sports Web and the Tampa Bay sports fan, it's your time. Go Rays, go Bucs, go Lightning, and have a great night. Are you an athlete or professional struggling with life or career transition? Life isn't always easy, but hope is always present. Best Hope Counseling will help you move forward. For nearly a decade, licensed marriage and family therapist Larry Baumgartner has helped clients empower change and discover solutions using a solution-focused therapy approach. Conversations will focus on what you desire to change, not just the problems that brought you into counseling. From anger to depression or other emotions, Best Hope Counseling is there for you. Contact Larry personally on his direct line at 727-946-1346. Again, 727-946-1346 for a telehealth appointment in Florida and Minnesota, or in person an appointment in Minnesota. Take time out and begin your game plan to reconnect, rebuild, and restore happiness in your life. BestHopeCounseling.com.